Working.
Noise.
Working. Read some sound check real quick.
Peter Piper
Working.
picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Read some sound check real quick.
Peter Piper
Working.
picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Bitchin'. Read some sound check real quick.
This kitchen. Peter Piper
Working.
picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Bitchin'. Read some good there. Still don't know. It's pain.
That Veronica Vaughn.
19.
I would know.
Believe me, I don't.
No, you don't. Oh no.
What?
I had in my head all day what I was going to do for verse of the week, and I completely forgot it.
You botched it. St. Michael.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Isn't that the recent thing?
I don't know, but if I was Catholic, I think this would earn me about another 10 years in purgatory.
I think it was they were talking about St. Michael's battle or something.
What, last week?
Recently, yeah. Trump referenced it.
Oh, really?
I guess maybe I think I want to say it's like a feast. What's up, noob? See.
Well, you know what? I can't think of the one that I wanted to do, but I've got another good one.
Okay.
It really grinds my gears.
Okay. Some sound check real quick. Slouching too much, dude. Top of my ass is going numb. You don't want that, folks. I want to go down that route. A lot of history down that route. How are we feeling?
Good. Pitter patter.
Should post a.
Oh yeah, good call. For all my internet 304s.
Trying to figure out. I'm gonna like start posting it differently because I kind of have this feeling that if you post like a bunch of links on X to other platforms, that they like restrict it.
They
Like
might.
I think you could post like a link in the reply or whatever, but I don't think like a post with a link gets you a lot unless it's like the videos on the embedded on the thing. Not sure though. I'm not positive. I just don't.
You know what song I thought of today that's a banger and I haven't heard in forever? You know Concrete Blonde?
No.
No. They had a really, really popular song called Joey.
Okay.
Thought of that today. That's a banger.
If I heard it, post. Oh, is it stuffy? And I don't like it.
Don't like it either. I'll give you that.
It ain't fun. It ain't fun, man. Okay, that's working. All right. That's working. It's all working.
Yay!
Yay! Remember Crank Anchors?
That's what I got. It's my birthday! Yay!
So stupid. I
That
loved
was
it.
like a rip-off of the Jerky Boys. You remember the Jerky Boys?
Oh yeah, I listened to the Jerky Boys way before I should have, dude.
Oh yeah, same.
I watched
the older kids
the
in my
movie.
neighborhood had the CD.
Oh yeah, we had that too. Somebody.
Are you a plumber? Yes. I hear you plumbers know a lot about the cock. Does it have a specific taste or texture?
Hi, I'm calling about the ad in the paper for for lawn equipment or something like that. You remember that one?
No.
He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah. It says here that in the paper that you have lawn care equipment or something. Then the guy's like, "Oh, we got. I got a log splitter. I got." He's like, "Do you have lawn chairs?" This one time I went to my doctor and I knew it was bad because when I woke up I had a big red chancre on me. he goes to talk to the mob boss. It's like, just out of curiosity, when you go over there, what would you do to this guy? He's like, yeah, off the top of my head, like beat him over there with a baseball bat, drag him out back strapped to a fucking tree, load up the old tennis ball machine with boiled potatoes and shoot him up his ass until he's blue. The guy goes, "You're sick." I like it. I'm gonna have to rewatch that. I can't wait till my kids are older. So I can just do whatever.
That was like the greatest era of comedy, I think. Like we had a lot of great comedians now, but like just in general, like comedy, I feel like because like even like the old Adam Sandler skits, like Toe Booth Willie.
Yep.
Like that's not any like we don't have stuff like that anymore.
Not a lot, huh? Trying to think. Give it. I mean, Freedom Tunes, I guess, is everything's gone multimedia now, right? Like everything.
Yeah. Well, let's do it, dude. Let's do it.
Great. Okay. I didn't want to maintain my hair today, so I'm wearing a hat. This fucks with the lights. Three, two. JD Vance destroys the debate. All around, it was a great debate. Honestly, I thought Tim Walz did better than I expected. I thought it was kind of cool to see a different side of political landscape these days. It was a respectful debate that Both people seemed earnest in their thoughts, and it was awesome. And JD crushed it. We'll get into that. Hurricane Helene went ham on the southeast. A lot of destruction down there. I think there's a decent death toll as well. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but we'll get into it in the show. Dock workers went on strike. Shipping ports shut down. Prices. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse. Good luck. I guess we'll all just throw on our loincloths and head out into the woods or something. I don't know. And Israel declaring war on the Middle East. Iran launched 200 rockets, I think, at Tel Aviv or something. We'll get into that a bit. We're not experts by any means, but tidbits here and there. But that's it. This is Northeast Base Podcast, episode 21.
An angry eagle scratching the face of Lady Liberty. Our morals are falling apart. The whole world in disarray. We're two concerned dads who've had enough, and we've got things to say. We're Northeast Base. Base.
There it is. Northeast Base Podcast, episode 21 commences now. I'm the host. I'm one of your hosts. Whiskey Sticks, they call me on the internets, where we make up our fake names. And I'm joined by my co-host, Jamoke Enoch. What's up?
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, it's busy week of news, huh? Like in terms of like actual stories to talk about.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
yeah.
Oh, look at that. They get Yahtzee. They gave us a split cam.
Hey. Yeah, so let's get right into it then, I guess. I don't really have much to say other than what we can talk about.
Yeah, I've been listening just as much as I normally do, but I haven't been actively listening. Like, I'm not hearing stories and going, oh, like that's a topic. That's a topic. I don't know. I've been just kind of taking it in rather than like. So I was starting today. I was like, definitely the debate is something we could talk about, and I knew I would be able to go, oh yeah, the hurricane, oh yeah, the dock worker strike, like that all makes sense. I definitely listened to that all this week. So
Yeah, I've heard of all these stories. I've done a little bit of digging into them, but for the most part, same as you, I'm not like super in depth. I haven't spent hours reading about any of it. So yeah, what's topic number one is, was it the hurricane? What did we decide to go with?
I don't
Yeah,
honestly
hurricane.
care what order we go in. I just put the links on in order that you posted. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, let's go right into the hurricane. That's definitely the biggest news. I mean, some people would say Israel, but they
So
can eat that dick on their own, as far as
yeah,
I'm concerned.
yeah. For now, let's chill. Um, yeah, basically. So I forget what day it was. I knew it was coming. People were preparing and stuff. They did it. I didn't look at a map yet because usually even without even trying, I'll catch a map online. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Did it hit Florida directly?
I'd hit the panhandle.
So in the Gulf.
Yeah, it came up Gulf of Mexico I think it was basically like projected to sweep over mainland Florida, and then
Then it went up.
just keep going out to sea, and then it took a hard 90 and
Yeah.
shot straight up the Appalachia.
That doesn't surprise me based on the landscape in that area.
Yeah, I mean it hit
Usually
what?
they go out to sea if they're already on the eastern side. They have a more chance to go out to stay in water, right? But like
Yeah.
once it hits
Well, the other
land,
thing,
I feel like it changes.
yeah, the other thing too is like I believe, from what I heard anyway, it may have been upgraded or downgraded, but initially when it happened, I think as it was touching land, it was Category 4.
Yes, I heard that as well.
So obviously, it made its way all the way up in like North Carolina.
Hmm.
It touched like 5 or 6 states,
Yeah.
maybe even more, because those are kind of, depending on the angle it shot up there, that it could touch, I guess, like upwards of like 7 or 8.
Well, it's all. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there's like rules for it, but it's all like a gray area, right? Like what's considered touching it? Because like all kinds of states around there got affected by it, and
Right. I
different.
think anywhere that got like significant storm is considered affected.
Yeah, like I don't know, wind speeds and stuff. Because like even like inland a little bit more, they're gonna get like heavy rain and stuff, but
Yeah.
not necessarily anything crazy. Didn't North Carolina like take it the worst?
I don't know if they took it the worst, but they have a lot of really small towns that got completely wiped off the map. Like
I
I
saw a bridge get taken down.
Yeah, and I got a guy I went to high school with who lives down in Florida in the Panhandle, like Jacksonville area, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that's no Jacksonville's not in the near the Panhandle.
No, Jacksonville's down the tip more.
Yeah, what is it? It's one of those bigger. Is it Tallahassee? Is Tallahassee up by the Panhandle? It
I
doesn't matter,
honestly
I
have no
guess.
idea.
But
I
yeah, he
basically
lives
know
up in
like
that,
Orlando and Miami. Like,
and like he's been posting crazy videos with him like walking through his city and his waist deep water.
oh yeah,
It's like I don't even understand how this happens, man. Like, obviously, like if the water comes in and then it's in a low spot, the water's gonna sit there until it absorbs and
right,
evaporates.
right.
But like, how did how does water make it that far inland and just sit there like in a city? How does it just sit there like that?
Well, Florida is below sea level.
True, but I mean, like, it just still it blows my mind. Like
Yeah.
all the, I mean, obviously with that much water, all the sewer systems and everything are completely flooded. They're
Yep.
completely full.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, just in
I,
my mind, like I can't even fathom getting that much water.
oh yeah, no, me either.
I mean, what we had it up here. I know my dad. I remember my dad talking about it. Like I forget which hurricane it was, but the movie The Perfect Storm.
Yep.
That hurricane that hit us where I live,
Uh-huh.
and my dad talks about it. It was like 84, 85, 86, somewhere in that range. I think maybe even a little later than that. It might have been like the late 80s. But either way, it was sometime in the 80s. And yeah, I remember him telling me about that. And he was like, dude, even this far in, not that we're like crazy far inland, but we're like 20, 25 miles off the coast.
Uh-huh.
And we got hammered.
On here. Stream.
Oh boy. I thought it was just my end buffering because I see the timer's still counting. So I thought I was just buffering on my end.
Weird. Okay. Because OBS is not reporting anything wrong.
Let me refresh my page. Yeah, refreshing. It's running.
It's running.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
refreshed and it's running.
That's weird because on OBS right now it's telling me Rumble and Kick are reconnecting.
Yeah, there's something going on. Bitrate or something. It's still kind of choppy.
Yeah. Well, OBS is reporting perfectly fine bit rate and 0 dropped frames.
Maybe we're getting too close to the truth. Government's cutting off our internet.
Let me just do a quick speed test. Here, I forgot to pay my internet.
Oh boy.
It has happened.
If that see, that's why I make my wife pay the bills. Then if we miss any bills, I get to yell at her.
Well, we split. We split them. And I click on test.
Yeah, she handles the checkbook. I just deposit my check in our account, and she pays all the bills. Probably been fleecing me for years.
Dude, check this real. Oh, it back up on Rumble. Download speed's good, so that probably means it's fine. Oh yeah, we're cranking, baby.
Holy crap, what do you have for internet?
I have a gig. Fiber, baby.
We don't have fiber in my area.
We just got it recently. I was like, hell yeah, dude. It was half the price of my cable, and I got a gig.
We have just regular cable. I pay for the biggest package. It's supposed to be like 400 or 500 down and like 200 or 250 up.
That's pretty good.
I never get that, dude. I get like at best like 70, 80 up.
That's a lot. That's quite a bit though.
Oh yeah, it's more than enough, but it's like I'm paying an arm and a leg and I get like half at best what they say I'm supposed to get.
I had the middle package for Spectrum, and the Kickstream up and running. Sorry, folks, for a lull in the pod. Things will happen. There's something wrong. Plug in.
Well, Rumble seems too good now.
Yeah, I think it might be just an OBS or some. OBS is. Yeah, OBS is not responding. Might have to stop the stream and restart it.
Okay.
That's. OBS had enough of my shit. All right. Gotta close OBS. See, it starts to stream. Hey, it's up on everything except for Rumble.
It's showing me live on Rumble right now.
Behind.
No? Actually, maybe. No, it says I'm live.
check, check. No, mine just stops.
Boy.
I might have to copy. Oh, that's what it is. Change Rumble setting back to the previous setting. All right. There we go. I was worried that I was gonna have to like start the Rumble thing again because it doesn't. The way Rumble's set up is you have to
Oh, gotcha.
create a new stream every time, which is obnoxious.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. We're back. Sorry. Hiccups. We're on you. Broad kick. We're on. I don't even remember what we're talking about. Oh, storms.
Yes.
So you must have had like times where like, you know, you just get like crazy rain or whatever and stuff like that. Like I know in my town we've had like you get like a heavy rain and the drains will just be full and the water will be like coming out of the drains.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Oh, okay. Well, I live like in a small valley, river valley, so everything is runoff. Like literally between me and my neighbor's house is a brook that just runs all year round.
Yeah.
And it goes between our property, and then when it hits the road, it goes underneath the road into a pipe and
Yeah.
goes into the drain system and comes out somewhere else. And there's like a big steel grate over, and I had to tell my kids to stay out of there because I don't want to go on a rescue mission, dude.
I feel ya.
But when we get a lot of rain and runoff comes down the mountain, plus all that stuff, and if you're down near the bottom, down by like the what would be considered like flood zone, whatever, down by the main road near the river, the drains get overwhelmed because they're taking water from up everywhere uphill. And by the time it gets down there, there's too much water coming from every direction for it to like eject it fast enough. Plus, if the river goes up and the drains dump into the river, then there's nowhere for them to go if the river's already up. So you'll see water like running down the sides of roads, you know, where water would normally run to a drain. And then it hits the drain and it's just going over it and there's more water coming out of the drain.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming like being in a place like Florida where everything is so close to sea level that like rivers and lakes and ponds and then you get a bunch of rain, that water is going to the ocean, right? It's trying to get to the ocean. And there's not a lot of elevation change. So the water's just chilling because it's not going to run off very fast.
Right.
You know, that's probably why. And like, I would imagine also like when a big storm comes in like that, the ocean itself swells, right? So like on the coast, like the ocean itself fills up the coast with water because it just comes up like a tide. You know? Because like,
they got.
You see that video of that really really popular road? It was like a huge main road, and it was underwater before the hurricane even got there.
Oh,
And
really? I didn't see that.
There was a guy driving like an aluminum motorboat with a big Trump flag on it down the road. I'm gonna pull that up because that's worth That's just a fun one.
Well, yeah. While you pull that up, I'll give a little bit of a. So yeah, the last I pulled up, I searched for it earlier. There's at least 64 dead, and you know, it just says millions. It doesn't give an actual number of people that are without power, which is not surprising, man. Like whatever video this is gonna be, like I'm sure that you've seen by this point, like the videos of people's actual houses just floating away.
I believe
Like
it.
the water that's rushing through it, completely intact, dude. People's homes just floating with the water.
That's hilarious. What? That's hilarious.
Did you see it?
Yep.
Not very big. I can probably zoom in on because I can't. I can't zoom. There's probably it.
Jeez.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
This is going down the road.
That's hilarious.
Big old
Wild.
Trump. Big old Trump flag on the boat.
Yeah, it's wild, dude. I couldn't even imagine.
All right, let's not laugh at this part. Jesus, look at the destruction.
Yeah, it's insane.
Try to zoom picture a little bit, but is this a video?
There's no cell service here. There's no.
This is Asheville, North Carolina. This is what I heard
electricity.
got
We're
hit
gonna
the
be out of
worst.
electricity. The men came out to our neighborhood. They said we're not going to have electricity for another 2 to 3 days. So we're still in the recuperating period. This is going to be a major cleanup. This is taking out all of Biltmore Village, high-end stores, restaurants. People are going to be. We're going to be cleaning up a long time.
Yeah. Just Tennessee.
Yesterday afternoon, the water started
Look
to
at that,
rise.
look at that
and
camper.
we were
Imagine you just
told
got a
to
camper
evacuate.
saved up.
We kind of stayed here trying to move some of the things around, maybe salvage anything. We were able to move a few things out, but as soon as we got the word that we had
Look
to
at
leave
that.
immediately
Crap,
because
dude,
of
that's
a breach of a
insane.
dam.
Look at that,
we
dude.
Got out of here.
Oh, okay,
and
that's
then-
off a dam at least. Okay.
Dude, whenever I see water like that, I'm like, yeah, no shit, we make electricity with that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
That's an astronomical amount of force
yeah,
going over that every second.
yeah, yep. It's crazy, crazy. One of my kind of guilty pleasures, if I ever get on a YouTube rabbit hole, is I'll come across these videos, and it's just like some dude in like a third world country almost. It looks like building a miniature hydroelectric dam.
Yeah.
Have you seen those? It's
Yeah.
so cool. They're just like,
Yeah.
they just route the water, they build up a wall, they build a chute, they hook up this little thing, they lay the bricks down, trough it
Yep.
up with like hand tools and stuff, and then they just like turn it on and it powers like lamps and shit. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, some people get super into it too. Like I watched one video of a guy who, I forget what they're called, not traps, but like what they use in like canals where you can like close and open a door to like direct flow.
Yeah, it's just a dam, like a type of dam.
Well, yeah. But like he had it set up so he could open and close doors. So like if he didn't want to be using the power,
Yeah.
or if there wasn't any water, like he would just close the whole system off, and then it would just divert around his power producer and just run off downriver.
Yeah, yep, I've seen that.
It's pretty cool, man.
So like around here, like a lot of the hydro stations are like, they just build a dam straight across
Yep.
And then the hydro station is like off to the side, right? And the fact that they dam off the water allows all that water to direct itself to the hydro station, right? And then any water the hydro station can't take in goes over the dam and down. Like,
Okay, gotcha.
you know what I
Yep.
mean? And then some of the other more complicated ones have like the doors where they can open and close and hold more water back or let more water through. Like, so like they open and close a lot of dams when there's a lot, like when it's rained a lot or in the spring,
Yeah, yeah.
or if they're working on the dams, then they coordinate with the other dams to do things to maintain the water a
Yep.
certain way. You know what I mean? What's up, J Dub? And then another thing that happens around where I live is man-made canals. So there'll be a hydro dam or a dam with like a hydro station, and then the excess water that the hydro station can't handle sometimes goes into a man-made canal, which is just like they just dug the earth up and built like a canal.
Yep.
And then at the end of the canal, they put another hydro station.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it goes through that and then dumps back into the river somewhere else. It's like any way they can get power out of it, really. We have
Yeah.
one station right in the middle of my city that there's a big right in the middle, like of Main Street where City Hall is, there's a bridge that goes across the river. And there's a big dam there, and the bridge is up pretty high. And the first half of the bridge that you cross a concrete canal of water. And then there's a section where you're on land, and then you cross another bridge, and you're like up high over the river, and there's a big dam there. And the dam blocks the water to direct it into the canal, and the canal has another dam at the end of it, like one that you can move up and down. It's got like a thing that catches debris and stuff. And then it goes through that dam, it goes into a gigantic pipe. Like, it's like a 30-foot pipe. It's huge. And it goes down this huge 30-foot pipe into a gigantic steel like tank. And then there's like a hydro station built in a building on like the side of like the cliff, the river.
Okay, yeah.
So they just direct the water down this canal into this giant reservoir through this hydro facility, and then the hydro facility dumps it down in the river below.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And a lot of this has to do with how they designed it, because like they had the paper mills and stuff. It's all crazy.
Yep.
But yeah, the Androscoggin River, the whole thing is just dams everywhere.
Oh, it makes sense. It's a big river.
It's like a big, slow-moving river. All right, let me see
In
more
like
of this.
20 minutes, the power was gone, and
I mean, this was a pretty good one there. I've learned a lot of stuff by watching it, but yeah, I ain't never learned
Yeah,
about
I
storm.
love this guy already.
When the water got
Timmy
coming in our house,
Futch.
I had my truck parked back, and I know the highest point
This is a
in
good
town
one,
was
mate.
that, and we
Yeah.
just, me and my wife drove around there, and we just sit in the truck and watched everything.
Oh
go
yeah,
on.
we just sit in the
I
truck,
don't
man.
live from this place. You know, and it's you know,
These
it's
are
in
my
heart,
people.
It's in my blood. My grandfather's the one that founded this place, and all like that. So I mean, he used to own the whole town. Him and another guy, and they developed it. And,
I want to move
and
to
all
a
like
place
that.
with a
I mean,
southern
my
accent.
family goes back to the 1800s here in Horseshoe Beach.
Yeah.
There's no cell service here. There's no.
That's
I'm
crazy.
glad. Oh, excuse me. Dude, I'm freaking yawning up a storm over here. Yeah, I haven't actually talked to him. One of my buddies just moved down around that area. He got a job with Goodyear. He's like a
Oh, you told me about that. Yeah.
yeah. I don't think they're in the area because he's in like Fayetteville, I think, or near Fayetteville.
Gotcha.
So I think they're a little further west than what got hit. But yeah, so you want to pull up that the Vigilant Fox clip?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to hit that, and then the end wokeness one real quick. Just boom, boom, hit them real quick, and then we can react to it after.
Okay. So you want me to play this video?
Yeah.
So I believe that's Elijah Schaefer.
Yeah, that is. Yep.
Okay.
Biden and Harris FCC nuked 20,000 Starlink terminals for North Carolina that could have saved lives. Listen to this. On Monday, North Carolina State Climate Office said Hurricane Helene was a monster storm that unleashed the worst-case scenario for Western North Carolina. Mayor Esther Meinheimer told CNN's The Source with Caitlin Collins on Monday that over 600 people are unaccounted for and towns have been wiped off the face of the earth. It turns out down here that if you look down past all of the insane carnage, the power outages have said that folks on X are saying that entire cellular networks have been damaged as a humanitarian crisis unfolds. But Western North Carolina has been hit hard, and it turns out that Elon Musk's space internet company could have supplied residents with Starlink terminals over the years through a rural federal program. However, the Biden administration's weaponization of the FCC blocked nearly 20,000 terminals for the state that would have been crucial right now during this time. I'm telling you that we are ruled by the most ridiculous human beings among us.
Well, that's a
Danger
fact.
can strike at any minute, which is why it's so important that you protect yourself with emergency meal kits by My Patriot Supply.
Oh, here we
Guys,
go.
I've been
Yeah,
in
you
situations
give it
where
out.
the supply chain is broken down, and right now,
Although I agree. You should.
Yep.
That was a post by the Vigilant Fox, and that's a clip from Elijah Schaefer. Why is he not?
Why is he not what?
Why is he not tagging Elijah Schaefer? I guess the logo is on the video, but still. Yeah, I guess the logo's on the video. Usually, like at the bottom, it'll say like from Elijah, or by Elijah Schaefer or something. Like if you can give attribution or whatever.
Yeah, so this next clip is it's a clip about Trump going down to, different places, and he showed up with a bunch of supplies.
Oh, that's very good. Thank you, fellas.
How are you? God bless you. We are praying for you.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely. We love you.
See the Secret Service in plain clothes.
Yep.
Oh, that's very good.
They got a lady too.
Yeah, so I just like, it's so interesting, right? Because like, what? I don't know, obviously.
They put this picture with it.
Oh yeah. Biden's son and his
And then
nuts.
Kamala with your wired earbuds and her phone doesn't have an earbud plug.
Yeah, acting like she's on a phone call.
I wonder if she's listening to an old iPod.
But yeah, it's like, I think it's so interesting, right? Because like that Elijah Schaefer clip, right? Like, if for what possible reason would they stop Elon Musk from spending his own money and putting in Starlink?
There's no reason.
Like, right, so it's like, and obviously I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to draw a crazy conclusion like, oh, they knew this hurricane was coming and they wanted everyone to be screwed or whatever. But it's like, it just goes to show you, I guess, like the implications that these stupid people in charge of us can have. Stuff that you would never even assume would be the case, right?
Yeah.
Like, if Starlink was if they let Elon Musk actually put in the Starlink like he was going to, then these people would have phones, they'd have internet, they'd be able to contact family, let them know that they're okay. All these
Rescue
different things.
teams would coordinate so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, if entire cell phone, like obviously, you know, if you're like a federal, like FEMA sort of a thing, which they're useless, but they'll have sat phones and they'll have radios and stuff like that, so they're fine.
Yeah,
like
but
for
locals.
for the individual that is on the ground, they have nothing. They have no way to support anything, and it's like I can't help but think that they got to be like, this is just like another thing that's like, do they know what's coming, right? Like, what does the government keep trying to do, right? They claim that it's climate change, this, that, the other thing. This is why all these natural disasters keep happening. But what are the things that you need in a natural disaster? You need generators. You need anything that's powered by gas,
Mm-hmm.
and you need cash. And they're demonizing all of those things.
Water, food, communication, fossil fuels.
Yeah, water, food, communication, fossil fuels to run boats.
And manpower.
Yeah, boats, cars, generators, whatever. And you need cash. Cash is king in a disaster. They don't have any electricity. How are you going to pay for anything if everything you have is on card? And if all your stuff was in the bank,
Yep.
Guess what? Especially if you use a regional bank, if all their systems are down, dude, you're SOL.
Oh, baby.
You can't even access your own money.
And I just heard recently that I forget who was talking to, but RFK said the number one issue that I forget if it was like the number one issue that he decided to endorse Trump on, or whatever the case was. The number one issue he said was stopping central bank digital currency.
Oh, that has to be 100%. That has to be one of the top priorities.
He said it was the top.
Yeah.
He said because if they have that, then they have the off switch to anything they want. And and then it's ruined. And then we always talk about the grid. The grid goes down, we're fucked.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that. You have to keep, as much as I hate the fucking Federal Reserve, we have to keep printing. We have to have paper notes. We have to.
Yeah, which we don't need the Federal Reserve for.
Well,
we actually put it back under federal control.
Somebody needs to make it, right?
But
yeah.
I mean, the Fed is it's a private bank.
Yeah.
They named it the Federal Reserve because they knew that most people wouldn't look at it.
Well, there's Navy Federal Credit Union. There's the general car insurance. There's
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I don't know, man. I don't know. It's the whole situation is obviously sucky, and
I heard after the storm that Elon Musk did supply them with Starlink.
He did now, yeah, because they finally authorized him to. I think he put in like 250 or whatever.
Yeah.
So far, but yeah, I mean, he had this contract years ago to put in whatever 20-something thousand of them.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what a Starlink is.
It's just,
I know it's got something to do with phones and internet and everything like that, but
it's just internet. It's just satellite internet. But he's got the Starlink system is like a grid of satellites that orbit the Earth at a lower altitude than like regular satellites. They're smaller, and they're in a pattern. Like
oh, okay.
Like they're in like a large band, and you can see them once in a while. You can probably find videos if you want to look on your phone. When Starlink satellites are like going into orbit and they're not up as high as they're supposed to be, like they just started, because they move like further away. You don't notice them. We don't look up in the sky and see Starlink all the time, right? But there are times when people see like they look like stars or something. There's like they're all in a row, almost like a coordinated drone thing, and it's just this.
Oh, okay.
It's just this line of satellites, and they're not like the giant satellites we have in space. They're like I think they're smaller, but they just a huge row of them that sweep in orbit together and provide
Okay.
internet to like all over the place. And it's not quite as sturdy as, you know, the normal internet, but my buddy has it. He lives like an hour away from me at the most. Literally, they installed the fiber internet all over this area, and they were installing it in his area, and they just stopped like on one end of his road. They stopped, and then on the other end of the road they stopped. They never connected. So he can't get it. And he couldn't get Spectrum cable internet because he lives just on the other side of the river in Vermont. But like Spectrum is all around every town in New Hampshire, all around him has Spectrum cable internet. And just because he's in Vermont, it's a different thing.
Right.
And they didn't have Spectrum. But it's he got Starlink, and it gave him an incredible boost in speed. The thing that sucks is the startup cost, because you have to buy their equipment. So you're gonna buy like a kit to set it up, which is like a special like satellite receiver thing that you put on, and then like a box for it, and like a router modem or something.
Okay.
So it's a little bit pricey to just start up on it. But if you're at a place where you can't get internet, it's great. Like you can put it on your RV,
Oh, nice.
stuff like that. You can go camping. Like you could literally like be a person who goes to like campsites, right? Like
Yeah.
rent campsites, and you could just have like tents and stuff, but you could have a flat screen TV.
Yeah, so it's basically like modern, what was that, DSL or something like that people used to have way back in the day. It was satellite internet.
DSL is not satellite. It's like phone line.
Okay. Yeah, I know there was one of
But
them
there is
that
satellite
was-
internet.
That
Yeah.
was satellite, yeah. So anyway, the last thing I'll say about this is it's absolutely criminal what our government's doing right now. Like,
Usually.
did you see that they, since the hurricane, they've authorized like another like $117 billion to be given away to like Israel and Ukraine and all these stupid things. And guess what they did for all the people in the hurricane relief?
Fuck all.
$750 payment one time.
750,000?
What? No, $750 to each person.
Oh, to
each
person.
Yeah, for one-time payment, and they're like, "Yeah, best of luck to you." Like, what do Democrats think our government is for? Are we just a piggy bank for all their special interests?
Yeah. Yes.
Or like,
Yeah.
right, yeah, like it's insane. We just had this massive natural disaster.
That's like the one thing they should do.
Yeah, that probably did trillions of dollars worth of damages. And you give American citizens $750.
Yeah.
And you ship off another 120 billion to all your special interests across the globe. It's
Yeah.
freaking criminal, dude. These people should be in prison. Like at this point, there's no excuse for it. Not one penny should be going overseas until everyone that's affected by this storm has all their stuff back.
Agreed.
I don't even think that the government should be giving these people money, because that's not the government's job. That's literally not the government's job. However, if you're going to spend 120 billion dollars, give it to American citizens.
I agree. Here's what I think they should do, right? I think that the federal government should prepare to help for like disasters and stuff like that. And I don't think they should like pay to fix people's like properties and stuff like that. I think they should come in and be like, for rescue efforts, supplies and all that, they should help with that. Like I think that states should be responsible for that, like somewhat. Like states that live near the coast down south, Hurricane Alley, like that should be factored into it, right? you have a great state. A lot of people want to live there. It's beautiful. It's warm. It's a nice area. So budget your state accordingly. Like, it's like I kind of talked about this with my wife the other day because she was getting frustrated about all this stuff, and we've been dealing with like the medical system and all that, and her like initial reaction is like, her initial reaction is just like out of frustration was like, why doesn't anybody help?
Mm-hmm.
And I get that because I've felt like that before, and I understand it. And of course, like you and I know, like, well, they're not supposed to help. They're supposed to just not fuck it up.
Yeah, you're supposed to stay out of our way.
Things are so much better.
The only legitimate purview of government is to protect your rights.
Yes.
That's it.
And
you don't have a right to anybody else's money.
And I was talking to her about it, and I was starting to break it down. I was like, I agree with her to the extent that like certain programs and things. I'm not the person who's like, there can't be any social help or programs or whatever. I just think that all those things need to be handled the most acutely at the local level. So like your town has like programs, like a little bit of a welfare program or an unemployment program or something like that. I'm fine with some of that stuff at a local level because that means your voice counts and people agree upon it, right? And then and if the economy and things start getting wild, we can go in and be like, nah, we gotta do something. We gotta adjust this something, right? So it can't get too far out of hand because it's immediate and you have more of a voice. But then you start stepping it out to state and federal, then I'm like, no. You can't do it at that scale. You got to do it directly in the community.
Even at a local level, it's a moral gray area though, right? Because federally can't do it. State, I don't believe you should do it. District or county, whatever you want to say, like I still don't think you should do it.
I think it's towns.
Like down to your local town even, like that's the problem with democracy. Is that 51% of people get to tell 49% of other, because yeah, sure, like in this case it's a disaster relief sort of thing, right? But what happens when the cause du jour next time is let's give a bunch of money to all the single mothers in your town,
right? Well, yeah.
Like nobody has the right to tell me that I am obligated morally to pay for something that you want me to pay for.
Right.
So that's the thing. Like and again, this is a libertarian
I get it.
Speaking. Like
no, listen, I get
everything. Everything should be charity. Nothing should be. Not one penny should come from government ever.
I agree. I just mean that a lot of times, like a government's a good place to collect it. Now, if you can just set up a private organization to do it, and you want to do it that way, that's even better.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, I live in a small town. It's like everybody kind of knows everybody. Like, so like, if you're in that situation, it's kind of easy to just run it through town hall.
Oh, for sure it is.
You know what I mean?
You could even do that. You could have the town hall take a collection, right? But to say, oh well, like in my town, right? Like we started all these new welfare policies a few years ago. And what did they say? Oh, well, we need to raise taxes. People are like, no, you can't raise taxes to do your own welfare thing. And they're like, oh, yeah, I guess we can't do that. What do we do then? Oh, let's make people pay $15 for 5 trash bags. And you can only get your trash taken by the town if you buy our trash bags.
Yeah.
Like
they'll find another way. They'll find another way to do it.
They just fleece you nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if government just got out of the way and stopped with all these welfare programs, everyone would have so much more money that you could be much more generous.
Yep. I agree. Yeah.
Compulsion, like even if you made the moral argument, right? Like if the government came to you and was like, hey, listen, these are American citizens, even if it was, say it was your friend, and they're like, we're going to take an additional X amount of dollars of federal money, which is no matter what, even if they don't raise your taxes, they're going to print the money, so they're still raising your taxes. You're just paying
inflation is a
indirectly.
tax on the poor.
Yeah, it's literally what we fought a war over, right? It's the definition of taxation without representation when they just print money. So even if they were going to make that moral argument, you're like, yeah, of course, like morally speaking, everyone should do that. But say you don't want to do that, or I don't want to do that. At what point does that moral cause become immoral when you force someone else to pay for it?
Yep.
It immediately becomes moot because
Yeah.
you're doing an immoral thing to do a moral thing.
You don't know what everybody's situation is independently, so you can't justify it. Like, like that Bongino clip we always say. I'm going to play it right now because I think it's super fitting.
Your goal is not to make my life better. Your goal is to get the fuck out of my way and let me make my own life better. You don't know shit about me. You don't know anything about my business. You don't know anything about my health condition, about the educational goals I have for my kid. Get out of my way. Give me police services. Give me a decent, strong military, a court system, and please, God, I know your name is Vane, get the fuck out of my way. I don't want you to do shit for me. Shut the fuck up and go there and do nothing.
He's right, because
Yeah.
you don't know anything about my business. You don't know anything about my health conditions. You don't know anything about, and that's where I'm at. It's like we're paying taxes into a town. Like right now, this hits home for me because we're paying taxes into a town, and we're in a situation where my wife can't earn an income,
Mm-hmm.
and the economy is in shit. It was already in shit before. We could have been probably a little bit more cautious in our spending, but literally 4 years ago, we had 2 brand new vehicle payments, and we had flexibility in my budget. So,
Yep.
And now we're down to barely holding on to the stuff we have and paying these taxes to help somebody. So like, in what world am I obligated to help people when we're clinging on to the stuff we have?
Right.
So like that's his point is perfect. He's like, you don't know shit about me.
Yeah. Who are you to compel me?
Now, here's what I'm saying about the locality argument of like, if you wanted to have some like social systems or whatever, is that in the situation we're in now, if we could just go to the town and get a little bit of relief, that's a little bit different than applying for help from the federal government.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I
Like, if you're
mean?
and that's again, yeah, it's a weird.
It's
thing,
more
right?
it's more personal.
It's like Florida and stuff like that. Like they run a surplus. You know, our state did run a surplus back when we had Paul LePage as our governor. Now we have a crazy loon bat left winger, Janet Mills, and now she just every deficit that we had, every surplus that we had, she spent that 5 times over. Like we're massively in debt as a state again, and it's like even if you have extra money, like what is as a government, what is the moral implication there?
Right.
It should be that you're taking too much of your people's money.
Yep.
So give it back.
Yeah, obviously.
But they'll never do it because it's the same thing as like in the military, right? Like I think we've talked about it before. Like if you're going out to do a training exercise and you get allotted 50,000 rounds of ball 5.56 and you get another 25,000 of 7.62 linked and you get this, that, the other thing, whatever. At the end of the day, if you finish your training and you still got 30% of your rounds, guess what you do? It's hands across America. Everybody pulls out their weapon, and you just fire the rounds off. You just completely, literally waste the rounds.
Why?
You don't even do anything because it's the stupid ideology of government. If they gave you that budget, and you come back to them and you didn't use it, the next year they're going to give you less.
Oh my God, that's the it's the same way a lot of corporations run. Like they have a thing called projection,
Mhm.
where they calculate the trends of like the recent patterns going on in your month to month budgets and stuff. And then they go, well, and then the next month comes up and they go, you didn't meet projection.
Right.
And you're like,
It's like
yeah,
it's like a natural thing in government to the inability to be able to think 2 and 3 steps down the road. Like, so what if we turn back in 30,000 of the 120,000 rounds that you gave us?
it's
Take the 30,000 rounds back, and the next time we need rounds, give us those 30,000 first.
it's the exact opposite of how they should run it.
Because we're wasting all that money by just firing the rounds off into nothingness.
It's the exact opposite of how they should run it. You should be applauded for not wasting it, especially coming from the goddamn people who keep telling us that the world is ending because of climate change.
Yeah, it's absolutely asinine.
So let's
Like,
just keep
exactly.
manufacturing things and wasting materials. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. If you're out doing a company exercise, they should be, and they give you, again, just for easy math, they give you 100,000 rounds, and you get everyone trained to standard using 80,000 rounds. They should be commending you. They should be like, great job. You managed to train 140 soldiers with 80,000 rounds.
Yeah.
To standard. And you saved money in the process.
Right. Like, so, think about any other, like, organization or business or whatever. Like, if you have equipment or something like that, and, like, kind of like ammo, you have it, it's all inventoried or whatever. You know, you might not count down to the bullet, but you might count down to the box or the case or whatever. And then when you're done, you have extra and you bring it back, and then they just take it, and then somebody has to just record how much they're getting back and then add it to the total of the stock, and then you just have it.
Yep.
It'd be like me at work working on cars, and I need, and like stuff like this happens, but like it'd be like you need a certain materials for a job you're working on, right? Like, say you needed, I don't know, like I'm thinking of if you use like a sprayable material that didn't go bad, right? Like, or something like that. Like for us, we have like a paint mixing room. We have every single tint in there. So like whenever a painter has to make a color, there's a computer program that has a color code, and it tells you exactly how to make that color with all the tints we have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's measured on a computer and a scale, and you mix it up. Now you have to kind of, as a painter, know how much you need for the job you're doing. That's your job, kind of deal.
Right.
But it would be like, you know, being like, for this, imagine if you had to order a box of sandpaper for every job or something, and then when the job was done, you didn't use the whole box of sandpaper, just throw it out, because we're gonna have to bill out the next box on the next job.
Mm-hmm.
That's
exactly what they do.
That's retarded.
Yeah, they have no foresight to be like, oh, well, if we use an average of, 80% of a box on each job, then it would stand to reason that every time we do five jobs, the sixth job, we won't have to buy sandpaper.
Right.
But they don't think that way. They're like, oh, well, they won't give us as much sandpaper next time. It's freaking stupid. I hate government.
Yeah.
And it's just another example of how stupid they are.
Yeah. And it comes down to like the way even corporations do it, the way they micromanage their subordinates, right? Like a corporation will micromanage like a manager in a department. And then the manager says, if you got it, just use it or throw it out, because if it goes back into the budget, they're going to give us less next time. And then we might not have enough to do the job.
It's not even,
and then
it's not even really.
So like the managers, like, you know how like managers are often paid on like Like they might have a base salary or something, and then like they get commissioned. Like they get commissions. Like if your production is good and stuff like that, you get a bonus added on. That's how you make your money usually. Is like, are you doing a good job? Is your department efficiently doing the work and turning a profit? Then you get like bonuses and stuff. And part of that comes down to how well you manage your budget of materials. Well, if you are super efficient one day, and then so you didn't spend a lot on materials that month, and then you do really well, the next month they're going to go, all right, so you don't need as much budget this month based on the projection of the last month. And then the next month comes around and it doesn't go as well. There's always little variables that, first of all, humans are fallible. Second of all, things you can't account for happen and things don't go well. And then all of a sudden you've gone over budget now, and now that manager doesn't get paid because they didn't go under budget. So that's why the management's like, throw it away. So they incentivize it from up top. They incentivize the management to throw it away, to make sure that the budget is high enough for next month. Because if the budget is projected lower next month, and then you can't come in under it, they don't get paid extra. They don't get their earnings. Because usually they're at like a flat base salary with like a commission bonus or something like that if they're working efficiently. And they lower the bar, they make the bar tighter on you, then you can't reach it.
Yeah, they operate as if everything is a binary.
Yep.
And it's not. Like, again, the
Plate and
experience I have,
crank.
the experience I have is the military, right? Like, again, if you go back to the bullets thing, like, some people are better at certain things than others, right? Like, the first day I got assigned to be a saw gunner. I'd never touched a M249 before in my life. It was a range day. I had to go qualify on it. Day one, I shot expert.
Boss.
But there's another guy who has to. It's not like that. There's another guy, who isn't like, it's a weird scale, right? Like, I'm a very good shot, but I don't think I'm good enough to be a sniper. So it's like, but then there's people who are just bad shots and they get put on the 249 because everybody knows they're a bad shot, and the 249 is accuracy by volume. Like, some people can lay down very effective fire, and then other people, they give the 249 because it's accuracy by volume. If you shoot off 600 rounds, you're bound to hit something, right?
Right.
So it's like
spray and pray.
If you went by that standard, if the government looked at it and was like, okay, well, here's Private Flint, like, oh, he just qualified on the 249, and the minimum amount of rounds required is 250, and he just did it with 275 rounds. So everybody gets 275 rounds. Well, now you get a bunch of people who can't qualify because you chose it as a binary.
It'd be like you go out on a mission or something, and whatever. I think of it like a video game almost. Like, you get so many kills with a set loadout with a certain amount of ammo, right?
Yeah.
And you get 6 kills in a video game, and you used half your ammo supply, right? But then there's another guy out there who uses all of his ammo supply and has to borrow ammo from another guy and gets 6 kills, or he gets 8 kills, or something like that, right? And it's like, oh, I did 6 in 50% of my allotted volume, and he got a few more kills, but he had to use like 150% of the material, and they go, well, that guy got more kills. Instead of the actual like efficiency ratio of the person who's good at it. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, it's a sliding scale. Just because that first time I qualified expert with in one shot, so I used the minimum amount of rounds. That doesn't mean the next time that I go out to qual day that I'm actually going to shoot expert first try. Right?
Also, variables happen in the battlefield.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. That's completely different. You're talking, battlefield compared to garrison. But yeah, it's like it's I don't know. It's just stupid.
One of my favorite parts about remember Rush Hour? And he's going to talk to that bomb squad chick, and she's doing the testing in the room. And she's trying to cut the wire, and the timer's running out, and she's trying to figure out what wire to cut in the training room. And then Carter slams on the glass, and she hesitates and cuts the wire, and it goes. Poof.
Yep.
And he goes, "Congratulations, we're all dead." And she's like, "But he distracted me. Distractions can occur in the field."
Yep. All right, well, let's hit this because it's already getting kind of late. So let's hit the shipping story. Let's just boom hit it real quick. Because I mean, at this point, there's not a huge amount to talk about it anyway. We
The
gotta
dock
wait
worker?
for the situation to develop. Yeah.
We can posit theories. It's from
Yeah.
Alpha Fox. Port workers should all be replaced by automation so we don't have to hear them whine.
Oh, you got to switch the screen. People watching can't see.
My bad. I fucked it
Right
up.
here, Port of LA, Long Beach. Keep fighting, brothers. Keep fighting.
So basically, it was just like automated cranes that carry the shipping containers around. Instead of like they used to have drivers, now they're automated. I get the fright, that, but I saw a video clip of a guy talking about how they were on strike because they want to be compensated because during COVID they had to work the entire time while everybody else sat on their couch. And they were like asking for like a 70% raise over 7 years or something.
Oh, dude, what they're asking for is absolutely insane.
And they're already making over six figures, most of them.
Yeah, and then they countered and they were like, "We'll give you 50% over the next 5 years or whatever." And they were like, "No, that's not good enough." Ugh. It's like, well, you know what? It's greed like that, and also
it's unions.
It's union greed. It's you guys being greedy that is making this happen to yourselves. First of all, second, who cares? I'm sorry, I don't care that you're losing your job. I don't care. You know why? Because nobody cared after the first 6 months, back when rotary phones went obsolete. Everyone was like, "Oh no, you can't stop making rotary phones because everybody's going to lose their jobs." So what? You find a new job in a new field. Does it suck for you? Yes, it does.
Yep.
But this is the way that economies
sucks
work.
for everybody.
You do through research and development, markets and jobs change.
Yep.
And people lose their jobs, but guess what? That frees people up to work and do something new.
Yep.
It's like, sorry you lost your $120,000 a year salary to drive a forklift, but sorry, I don't care, dude.
You were they were overpaid for it anyways.
Yeah, it's like it's insane. Like besides like the crane operators and stuff that do that stuff, like that's got to be a crazy high stress job.
Yeah.
With all the different cranes, you're picking these things up. You got to
some of those jobs for sure. But
the crane operators and the riggers, those are the only people that I feel bad for because they were actually doing something legitimate. Everybody else, dude, if you're the guy that's walking down there and you're organizing, you're checking stickers and calling people over to actually do the work, I don't care that you lost your job, man.
Right.
I don't. Go find a new job.
I had an argument with my uncle about this because he was saying like how automation and AI and stuff like is going to take so many jobs away. And I understand like the idea of like the sci-fi, like artificial general intelligence, like that type of world. Like that's that could be scary depending how fast it comes up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But in general, he's talking about like AI automation stuff, like people losing jobs, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, I tried to explain it to him, but he didn't understand it. I was like, he's like, but everybody's gonna lose their jobs. How is this gonna work? I'm like, but there will be other jobs.
Yeah, there's always new jobs.
It's just that that things change, so the jobs change. Like you used to have to like dig ditches by hand with like 25 guys to run water pipes and stuff like that, or install like a septic system at someone's house. Now one guy shows up with a giant machine, digs a hole in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's done.
It's innovation, dude. It's the way of the world.
It's like, yeah, we lost a lot of jobs there, but now there's a whole job system of people that built the damn tractor.
Mm-hmm. And it's like the thing that these people aren't even realizing is like, instead of just like a 50% raise is very generous.
Dude, if
like,
I got a 50% raise, dude, I'd be fucking rich.
Yeah, dude, you're like a 50% raise over 5 years. You are so overshooting even our insane inflation right now.
Oh yeah, our 10% inflation. Well,
yeah, you are out shooting that, no problem.
Yeah.
So like that's a great deal. But what they're not even thinking about, and I'm not talking about the individual necessarily, because I'm sure there are a lot of individuals who are like, yeah, screw them, we're gonna strike. But it's the union itself, right?
Right.
But what they're not like, they're doing this fully knowing the impact that it's going to have on on the people of America, specifically the East Coast, right? Because this happened a few years ago out in California, and it didn't really bother us here on the East Coast. Well, guess what? Now we're getting our own taste of it.
Yep.
And it's gonna decimate our economy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, luckily most foods aren't shipped in.
Right.
So they'll still get brought over by trucks.
We'll still get
like,
avocados because they come in from Mexico.
Yeah, so it's like, but there's a lot of stuff that gets brought in through our ports.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuff's not gonna, this could last 2 days. It could last 2-3 months. Didn't the one in California last a couple of months?
I don't remember.
I think it was like, I think it was upwards of a couple of months that it lasted, and the ships were just stuck in the port because certain people, like these people they're gonna call out, they're gonna do their protest thing. Guess what? The ship, whoever owns the dock and owns the operation, is gonna hire new people to come in and do their job.
Scabs.
Yeah, but it's just gonna be, they're just gonna be less efficient at doing the job, and there won't be as many of them. So there's gonna be ships waiting at port.
Yep.
To offload their stuff. And it's going to be a nightmare, just like it was off in the West Coast a couple of years ago.
It's the union shit.
Yeah, that's the true story about the actual story, I should say, not the true story. That's the real story that's going on here. It's not even the union and their greed. It's what the union's greed is going to do to the rest of the country.
Right. Well, the clip I was talking about, the guy literally said, he's like, we will put a chokehold on all of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, so you're going to punish the American
How do you
people.
say that?
Yeah, exactly. You're going to punish the American people because you're a greedy prick.
I don't like.
And the problem is they can get away with it. They will get away with it.
Because they have a union.
Right. Well, it's not even because they have a union. It's because that job needs to be done.
Yeah.
Like that, you know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like they have a job that's indispensable. We have to have ports that are operating. That's the only reason they can get away with this. Like if it was, say it was a U.S. Postal Service that was on strike, nobody cares. You know why? Because we'll just use FedEx and UPS.
Right.
And it might take you a couple extra days for your package to get somewhere because UPS and FedEx would be overrun. They'd be overwhelmed. But there's an alternative. There's not an alternative to a port. The ports are the ports.
I mean, a lot of airplanes, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, even still, like, even if you took, 50% of the world's commercial planes and overnight stripped them down and turned them into cargo planes, that still wouldn't be it. Those
It's
ships
not.
carry so much.
It's not as efficient. The
Yeah.
cargo ships are similar to like our railroad system. Like, I think the reason why the railroad system doesn't work is because of the limited like routes in which you can get places, right? Like you have to follow a track, right?
Right.
But like a cargo, I remember hearing at some point like a ridiculous figure about how much it costs to ship on a train, and it's like cheap as shit. Like
I'm sure it is because
per
it's slow as
weight
death.
per weight, like a train full of cargo is like a penny per mile or something.
Yeah, it's not surprising.
Like, because it's like you get a huge train full of cargo containers, same containers that are on ports, full of weight, and you could just drive it somewhere, then unload the cargo, and then it's pretty cheap, but it's less direct than trucking. Trucking has more freedom because of the roadways, and of course, trucks got it more efficient, and they can go place to place, and but
Yeah.
the cargo ships to me are like the international version of like a train, right? It's slower,
Yeah.
but you carry a lot for a low amount versus like try to air travel. Because air travel stuff would get there quicker, but it would cost a lot more fuel and you couldn't carry as much per plane. So you'd have to have a fuckload of planes.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Yeah, and I mean, I'll fully admit I'm completely ignorant on shipping, right? Like what stuff actually does come to the East Coast, right? Are we getting, because like South America, Central America, whatever stuff that would come from there, or like not that anything comes from Africa, because sorry, they don't really produce anything,
right?
and Europe itself doesn't really produce anything either. That's why all their economies suck so bad. Like,
yeah, I don't know what we're getting. What do we get on the East
like
Coast?
that's what I'm saying. I don't know, right? Because anything that comes from like
Small
China,
amount of
Japan,
European good, Italian stuff. We get Italian stuff.
yeah, but it can't be enough to drive an economy. That's the point.
No,
Like,
no.
Like all the stuff that we like need, that's gonna come in through California, and then it's gonna get shipped by train or by truck across the country.
Yeah, most of it.
It's like
sure.
realistically, I know this is gonna have a massive impact on our economy, but I don't know what that impact's going to be.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what we get at our ports.
I know during COVID that like all this stuff that was supposed to go to California ended up going through the Panama Canal to Florida because Florida was open.
Right. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what is the main import. I mean, like I said, I assume like South America, Central America, stuff like that. Like we're getting a lot of like fruits and vegetables and stuff like that.
Maybe.
I would guess. I mean, outside of that, I mean, again, what does South America and Central America produce that we need?
Nothing.
Right. It's gotta be food.
Yeah, exotic food you don't need.
Yeah, fruits, whatever.
You have less selection. Oh well.
So yeah, hopefully it's not going to be as big a deal as people are making it out to be. But if it is, then hopefully this. Hopefully
yeah, I wish I knew. You know what I would say though? One thing I will say is some of the stuff that might come in is actually like engineered products, because there's a lot of products that are made in like Scandinavian, German, places like that. Like automotive components, like machine parts, mechanical parts.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to do more. I mean, obviously, this is kind of a newer breaking story. Because what was it? Today's Wednesday. So,
like, for example,
it was like Monday night at midnight, the strike started.
If you're like ordering parts for your BMW or something, stuff like that, probably fucked.
Yeah, probably.
You're probably fucked.
Which you're really screwed because BMWs suck and they break all the time.
Some of them do, definitely.
All right. You want to get into VP debate?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really pull any clips together, did you?
Nah.
I'm sure I could look really quickly and find a nice compilation. Let's see.
To see.
So while we're kind of getting into this, I'd like to just point out that obviously JD Vance destroyed Tim Walz. Did you notice a subtle little thing that he did? So like at the very beginning, did you listen to it at all today?
I listened to it on. I only listened to it because all the podcasts I listened to were watching it. So.
Okay, so yeah, I forget what point it was, what the topic was, but toward the very beginning, like probably like the first 10 minutes of the debate, JD Vance said something, and then Waltz was like, oh, you know, I agree with him, I have to say, and I'd like, you know, like he was kind of like trying to be like the bipartisan, like reach across the aisle. He was trying, I think he was going for that angle, like being like, look, we're the reasonable ones. I can say when he makes a decent point, yada yada.
They both did it.
Right, but so my point is that I think the difference is that after he did that, I think JD Vance did it not so much as a reciprocatory, I believe is the way to say it. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't think he did it that way. I think that when he was doing it, he used it as a tool, right? Because there was one time specifically that they were talking, I believe, about the border and the impact on the economy, and JD Vance, he used it so perfectly. He goes, I would like to say that I also agree with Tim on with Governor Waltz on this one. Da 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 da. The problem is Kamala Harris, and and Tim Waltz was like, his face, he snapped his head over, and then he looked in his face. He was complete shock. He was like, oh shoot, he got me.
Yeah, there's a couple times I remember hearing it, and I'm listening to like podcast watch parties, so like I'm not watching it and I don't know what's going on, and I'm hearing parts of it and not hearing parts of it, but I remember hearing parts and hearing like the commentary. I think it might have been on Crowder, where they were like mocking Tim Walz or whatever a little bit, and they were like, look at his reaction. Look at his reaction. He's like, JD Vance is making Tim Walz nod his head yes way more than he should be.
Yeah, exactly. He was being agreeable.
I think he was being honestly. I honestly think he was being genuine.
Underhandedly.
I think he was being genuine.
He was being genuine, but he always slightly manipulated what Tim Walz said. And was like,
I'm saying Tim Walz was being genuine in his reactions. I think he was being authentic in the moment. I think he was. Okay. I think he was debating authentically. I think he believes the stuff he said for the most part. A couple parts were a little bit shaky and probably a little bit off, and he was kind of stumbling, and he probably didn't really believe it. He was probably nervous about some of those answers. But a lot of the stuff, I think he was authentic. Like, he was there authentically. And JD Vance would make his statement and make his point, and Tim Walz would be nodding in agreement on some of the stuff he said, not like consciously or whatever, just being himself. Because he was hearing something and going, yeah, yep, I like that. Like, I think that's what he was doing. It almost felt like a podcast. How respectful they were to each other.
Well, yeah, it was definitely nice to see that, where they weren't, trying to personally attack each other like Trump and Kamala were.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But I mean, that's the difference too, right? Like,
I like both aspects of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the VP doesn't matter.
I think this did.
Aside from, well, yeah, it had an impact because JD Vance did exactly what he needed to do, right? He seemed extremely reasonable. He pointed out when when the moderators were fact checking him, he even called them out on it. He was like, "Oh, interesting, you just fact checked me. We agreed that there was going to be no fact checking." And like, it was a bad showing for Tim Walz. Like, he did his best, and yeah, he was cordial and yada yada. But like, if you saw any of the compilations that came out today of like CNN, ABC, they're like,
coping.
They're talking head people after the fact. They flat out said it. They were like, JD Vance wiped the floor with him.
Oh
They're
yeah,
like, this is a disaster.
I watched. I saw a little. I heard a little bit of it, and they right after the debate, they were coping hard. Like, they were even like admitting defeat, but like couching all of it. Like, it was pretty funny to watch because this was. Here's the thing. Steven Crowder said it pretty well too. He said, I don't think I've ever seen a debate performance that good in my lifetime by anyone. And the bar was already high. Like,
yeah,
you couldn't have a better debate performance than Trump versus Biden. It was impossible. And then comes in, and then I don't think Tim Walz did really that bad. A couple of questions he screwed up on, and he danced around and he got a little nervous and shaken on. But for the most part, even when he had those bumps in the road, the next topic that came up, he was fine. He didn't like lose control and then spiral the whole time.
Yeah.
He would fuck up on a topic, and then he would get back in, and then he would be coherent and fine and honest and authentic to what he believed the next one. And he speaks well. To be honest with you, I don't agree with any of his shit. I think the guy's psychotic, but he's pretty likable.
Who, Walz?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a freaking communist, a literal communist.
No, I'm just saying as a personality.
Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, he comes across as reasonable.
Just like a regular guy. If you weren't talking politics, you'd be fine.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of that is like him actually being a nice guy, and how much of it is him. I mean, this is gonna sound like it's an ad hominem attack, but like, he's a literal communist. You have to be an idiot to be a communist. Like, how much of this is him actually just showing his true colors, and how much of it was the fact that he actually is a nice and agreeable guy?
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I thought it seemed authentic. It was a long enough form that like, Kamala Harris was touted as doing well in the debate, and she didn't state a single fucking point.
No, she didn't answer a single question. They never called her out on it.
But like, Tim Walz actually answered the questions with his side of the story, and I thought they were all wrong, but they were coherent. They were on topic for 80% of the time or whatever. But JD Vance just had an answer for everything. And I don't even know if you heard this, but his first answer of the debate was a 1,000%. And he did it a couple times, but the first answer specifically was 1,000% a sneaky troll answer. In which
I didn't catch the beginning yet.
Okay.
What were they talking about?
I'm just going to show you.
The deadliest on record. More than 160 people are dead and hundreds more are missing. Scientists say climate change makes these hurricanes larger, stronger, and more Americans, and more than 60% climate change. Senator, what responsibility would the Trump administration have to try and reduce the impact of climate change? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Sure. So first of all, let's start with the hurricane, because it's an unbelievable, unspeakable human tragedy. I just saw today actually a photograph of 2 grandparents on a roof with a 6-year-old child, and it was the last photograph ever taken of them because the roof collapsed and those innocent people lost their lives. And I'm sure Governor Walz joins me in saying our hearts go out to those innocent people. Our prayer.
Oh, God.
For hosting the debate, and thanks most importantly to the American people who are watching. So, Margaret, I want to answer the question. First of all, thanks, Governor. Thanks to CBS for hosting the debate. And thanks most importantly to the American people who are watching this evening and caring enough about this country to pay attention to this vice presidential debate. I want to answer the question, but I want to actually give an introduction to myself a little bit, because I recognize a lot of Americans don't know who either one of us are. I was raised in a working-class family. My mother required food assistance for periods of her life. My grandmother required Social Security help to raise me, and she raised me in part because my own mother struggled with addiction for a big chunk of my early life. I went to college on the GI Bill after I enlisted in the Marine Corps and served in Iraq. And so honestly, I stand here asking to be your vice president with extraordinary gratitude for this country, for the American dream that made it possible.
I don't think it was a troll. I think that that was a preemptive strike. So, because Kamala and JD and Walz have been making a big deal about the fact that, like, he's not a common man, this, that, the other thing, because he went to Yale Law. So,
which is a stupid tactic, because everybody knows he wrote Hillbilly Elegy.
Right, and he grew up. He was like, a regular middle class person. He joined the Marine Corps. He went to Afghanistan or Iraq, whichever one it was. I don't know which one. I think probably Afghanistan. And then he came back, and then he went to law school, and then he got into politics, right? So, but I think that was a preemptive strike for that topic. Like that's like a talking point that the Harris campaign has.
Right, but that question, he started with like an introduction to himself, and he took up like 3/4 of his time going through that intersection, and then the last 30 seconds he answered the question. It was the intro had nothing to do with the question, and it sounded like he was just answering the question. The start of that thing was just him doing the Kamala thing where she goes, because she keeps getting asked questions on little interviews and things like that.
Right.
Well, I grew up in a middle-class family, and she keeps doing that. Literally on multiple places she's done that canned answer. Like
anytime
it's a question about the economy, she goes, I grew up in a middle-class family.
Yeah, exactly. That's her misdirect. She talks about herself and where her upbringing, which is a complete lie. It's factually not true.
It's like it's almost like they gave her like 10 possible answers to use, and whatever the question is, she has to pick from one of those 10 answers.
Yeah.
It's like she's a robot. She only has 10 programmed answers.
Yeah, she did the same thing in the debate with Trump, right? And then, but nobody ever calls her on it. Which I was impressed. The one thing I was impressed about the entire debate, I guess 2 things that I was impressed with the entire debate as far as the moderators are concerned. When they called out JD Vance for how he didn't used to support Trump.
Yep.
And it was great because he gave a good answer. And then when they called out Walz for saying that he was in Tiananmen Square.
Yep. He didn't answer that at all. He fumbled that hard.
Right. So the important part of that was that she held his feet to the fire. She was like, "Oh, great answer. By the way, that wasn't the question. So answer the question."
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh, well, I misspoke." And that, to me, that was the biggest thing that happened in that debate, was him having to admit that he'd straight up lied. Now, he called it whatever it was that he said. He misspoke.
Right.
And then he used some excuse. He's like, "Oh, ask my wife. My grammar is not good." It's like, that's got nothing to do with grammar, dude. You said that you were at a major historical event when you weren't.
Yeah.
That's not a grammar problem.
I think I think he would have been fine when they asked him that question if he just said, he went into this tirade, right? He should have said none of that. What he should have said was, listen, I have to apologize for that statement, because what I did was I was overgeneralizing and I embellished it a little bit. I wasn't there for the Tiananmen Square massacre or whatever, but I was there around that time. So when I was making that statement, I was generalizing and I embellished it to fit into that narrative, and I shouldn't have done that. That's what he should have said.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't wrong. He did go, and he was there during the uprising or the protest or whatever, but he wasn't there for that.
No, he wasn't even in the country when it happened.
Right, but he was there around that time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's all he had to say. But he
should have just admitted he was generalizing and he embellished it.
Yeah, that's why it was such a disaster, because he didn't just straight up say, like, yeah, you know, he's just like, oh yeah, I misspoke. And it's like, no, you didn't misspeak. Like, misspeaking is saying, when I was there, I was standing on the west side of the road and you were on the east side of the road.
Right.
Like, that's misspeaking.
Yeah.
Saying that you were somewhere that you weren't for an event that you weren't at is not a misspeak. You're literally lying. You made that up. You know you weren't there.
Of course.
Just like he got called out a month or so ago, where he said he was talking about, oh, weapons of war. I carried weapons of war in combat. And he never went to war.
I know.
And he got called out for that. And same thing, same basic excuse. Like, basically, oh, I misspoke. What I meant to say was I carried weapons of war, and my unit that I was in after I got out, they deployed. It's like, okay, so you weren't in war, and you know you weren't in war, but you claimed that you went to war so that you could try to make a political statement.
Yeah.
He's a dishonest human being. Is that the clip that I shared?
No, this is a different one.
Opposed an assault weapons ban, but it's only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was the NRA guy for a long time. They used to teach gun safety.
That was funny, but it was nothing.
I'm of an age where
he definitely
my
just meant
shotgun
to
was
say
in my car
families.
so I could pheasant hunt after football practice.
Senator, thank you. Governor, you previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but it's only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook
To me, it perfectly shows how well J.D. Vance handled.
And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status,
Thanks for that
temporary
fact check that you weren't gonna
protected
do.
status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important
We're
because
going to turn now to the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
the rules were that
The
you guys
economy,
weren't going to fact check. And since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own
Senator, for
leadership.
describing the legal process.
They got emotional. This is why you can't have women do anything.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
we
CBP
want to have
One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the
legal process. I'm pretty sure the lady, Crowder kept saying that the lady in the blue doesn't like, or one of them doesn't like the other one.
Yeah, he kept saying that, yeah, the one in blue wants to take the one in pink's job. Yeah. And I don't know the context behind that. I don't know if they're like...
I think he was just reading the looks because whenever she would finish her question and then hand it off to her, I think he was like, her facial expression is like... I don't know.
But yeah, so it's like... I wish they wouldn't have cut the end of that clip off because it was very telling of their attitude toward J.D. Vance specifically. when she was like, "Oh well, thank you for explaining the law to me." And it's just like, you snarky.
He's a Yale law graduate.
Yeah, it's like, you snarky, terrible woman. He's a freaking lawyer. Of course, he's gonna nail you down on the law.
Mm-hmm. There was one time where he brought up the law about the abortion thing, and Tim Walz said, "That's not how the law is written." And JD Vance was like, "Tell me. What do you mean?" You're talking to a lawyer.
You say trust the experts. But those same experts for 40 years said that if we shipped our manufacturing base off to China, we'd get cheaper goods. They lied about that. They said if we shipped our industrial base off to other countries, to Mexico and elsewhere, it would make the middle class stronger. They were wrong about that. They were wrong about the idea that if we made America less self-reliant,
they also said if we lock down the country and give everybody an experimental vaccine, everything will be okay.
And they were wrong about it. And for the first time in a generation,
if we
Donald
sacrifice
Trump had
our
the
children
wisdom
for the
and
sake
the
of our
courage
senior
to say
citizens,
to that
it's better.
bipartisan consensus, we're not doing it anymore. We're bringing American manufacturing back. We're unleashing American energy. We're going to make more of our own stuff. And this isn't just an economic issue. I mean, I've got 3 beautiful little kids at home, 7, 4, and 2, and I love them very much, and I hope they're in bed right now. But look, so many of the drugs, the pharmaceuticals that we put in the bodies of our children are manufactured by nations that hate us. This has to stop, and we're not going to stop it by listening to experts. We're going to stop it by listening to common sense wisdom, which is what Donald Trump governed on.
Senator, your time is up. Governor Walz, can you address that? I mean, voters say they trust Donald Trump on the economy more. Why?
Well, if you're listening tonight and you want billionaires to get tax cuts,
I do.
Heard what the numbers were.
I actually do. If that means I get a tax cut as well, yes. Absolutely, I want billionaires to get tax cuts.
Mm-hmm.
If that means billionaires don't take their business to other countries to save money, yeah. Let's give them a tax cut. Let's have them make their business over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look, I'm a union guy on this. I'm not a guy who wanted to ship things overseas, but I understand that, look, we produce soybeans and corn. We need to have fair trading partners. That's something that we believe in. I think the thing that most concerns me on this is Donald Trump was the guy who created the largest trade deficit in American history with China.
I'm surprised at how well he did.
So the rhetoric is good. Much of what
Even
the
though
senator
he
said
was
right there,
spending
I'm in
a lot
agreement
of
with him
time on his
this.
notes.
I watched it happen too. I watched it to my communities, and we talked about that.
I was impressed with that.
We had
he knows
people undercutting the right to collectively bargain. We had right to work states made it more difficult. We had companies that were willing to ship it over, and we saw people profit. Folks that
he did a good job.
Are venture capital in some cases, putting money into companies that were overseas. We're in agreement that we bring those home. The issue is Donald Trump is talking about it. Kamala Harris has a record, 250,000 more manufacturing jobs just out of the IRA.
Which,
see that right there too. That's again.
Those are bounce back jobs.
Exactly. You don't get credit for creating jobs that your party made moot during COVID.
Yeah. You sent everybody home and then you let them back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's insane.
We don't want to blame immigrants for higher housing prices, but we do want to blame Kamala Harris for letting in millions of illegal aliens into this country, which does drive up cost, Tim. 25 million illegal aliens competing with.
It will bother me during this question. JD Vance did not mention the fact that the bill was shut down because it had $170 billion for Ukraine.
That's a good point.
The reason that bill, first of all, the bill was to create more faster refugee program. Like they just wanted to hire more people to process refugees. They still wanted to bring in way too many people. And they wanted to send $170 billion to Ukraine and like $14 billion to Israel.
Yeah.
That's why it got shut down. It also got shut down because we know the border can be closed via executive order.
Mm-hmm.
With Americans for scarce homes is one of the most significant drivers of home prices in the country. It's why we have massive increases in home prices that have happened right alongside massive increases in illegal alien population.
Another thing I think that they should do in these debates, because these debates hit more normies, like people like us, we understand a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
sometimes in these debates, like JD Vance did a good job at this. He was able to like take his 2 minutes of time and spend a minute kind of setting up something, or even a little bit more than that. And then it only took him like 30 seconds, 45 seconds to dial into the actual question and nail it.
Yeah, another thing he did really well too was when the moderators were kind of pressing him, they would come at him with a really, like hard, quote unquote, hard question, whatever, and he would answer it in about 10 seconds and then immediately pivot.
Yeah, he could segue very well.
Yeah.
And turn it on something else. He could equate it to another topic. He did a lot. He brought it back to the border a lot.
Yeah, he kept directing it back to what he wanted to talk about. He wasn't letting the moderators dictate the conversation.
Yeah. But like what I think should happen sometimes in these debates is like, especially on this thing where they were talking about the bill, this super great border bill that the Republicans shut down or whatever. I feel like on one of those times it would have been a good chance for JD Vance to say, well, the real reason that bill got shut down was because, and I don't know if the American people know this, but what happens in Congress or in the House is that a lot of bills come in and they don't contain one issue. They contain a plethora of issues piled into one bill, and then they're expected to vote on it. And then one side blames the other side for shutting it down, even though they shut it down because there was something in the bill that they would never allow. And not because of the thing that the media keeps telling you it's about. They shut it down because of this other thing they tried to slide into it. And most people don't understand that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because what happens is on the news, they say the omnibus bill. And then everybody at home goes, what the fuck's an omnibus bill? Right? And when you have these events, right, you don't just get the old men who do understand, who watch the news all the time, who sit in their recliner and watch politics every night. An event like this gets all kinds of people that are more casual voters, right? They don't watch the politics all the time. So for like it would have been good for him to say the reason that bill didn't go through is because it was an omnibus bill. What that means is somebody drafts a bill and they call it the border bill. But what they don't tell you and they don't explain to you very well is that in this border bill that still had this many people coming across the border, that wanted to fast track immigrants into refugee status, right?
Mm-hmm.
The bill didn't actually block more people from coming in. But on top of that, they had $170 billion for Ukraine and $14 billion for Israel. The reason why the Republicans blocked the bill was because it had $170 billion for Ukraine. Not because of the border bill, necessarily, but probably partly. But don't let them fool you. They blocked the bill because they put other things attached to it. It had other things attached to it. And like, I think it would have been a good time to say that. Yeah. Because there would have been more casual eyeballs on this event. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That don't understand that.
Yeah, and the biggest thing too with these things, right? Like Bongino mentioned it either. Yeah, I guess it would have been today because the debate was last night. These, like you're talking about, these debates aren't for you and me, the people who pay attention to politics.
Right. They're entertainment for me. Like,
right.
See how they do, but
we're already decided who we're going to vote on, and we're not going to change our minds, right?
It's just an interest, a hobby.
This debate and JD Vance's job was to get the undecided, to get the moderate to come to our side, and he did a great job. So maybe he polled 1,000 people that were undecided to vote for Trump, right? And then you have all the other surrogates that are going around, people that are speaking on Trump's behalf, yada, yada, when they're doing interviews and stuff. If that person picks up every time that they're doing a hit every day, for the next 30 days, if they pick up 5 or 10 people, those numbers
it's collective.
All add up. Yeah.
It's a war of attrition. There's always a solid base on each side, and then it's a slow fight for the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, if you just chip away, if you got 20, 30 surrogates out there every day giving an interview, and if they're doing a good job and they can each sway a couple of people, 10 people at a time, then over the course of 2-3 months, you've gained tens of thousands of votes.
Yeah. You know what I think is huge, and I think a lot of people get it wrong, is you hear all the time that, like, Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro used to do it, but Charlie Kirk does it now. It goes to college campuses and debates and owns and these people that are not prepared, that these young kids who aren't prepared to debate this type of stuff. And you come here and you do this and you make money off of embarrassing these young kids who have nothing to say. It's like, well, first of all, you don't have to come up here and say anything. Second of all, it's free speech. And I think, honestly, he is doing the most important job. Those kids in college are the people who are going to vote 5 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Because some of those kids are going to vote now, right? Some of them are. But some of them are just interested in it almost like a sport. They believe in it. They may be Trump supporters. They may be independents. They may be this. It doesn't mean they're going to vote.
Right.
But in 5-6 years, when things matter, they're, the demographic that is like the college age kid, maybe 50% of the ones that are paying attention to politics at all are going to vote. But in like 7 years, that demographic could become like 80% of them that are starting to vote. And just Charlie Kirk going and doing this, and he doesn't have to change their mind that day. He just has to present an argument that sows a seed of logic that makes them think. And then 6 years down the road, when life hits them,
exactly,
they've got the seed planted and they go, I've heard the logic. I'm now seeing it happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it clicks, right? And then in 10 years, all those college kids are far more likely to vote towards a direction that we would agree with. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I'm a case in point on that. I think I may have talked about it on the podcast before.
Same here.
I turned 18 right before the 2004 election. Like, literally a month before. Not even. And I showed up. I grew up.
How old are you? You're older than me.
Yeah, I'm 38 or 37.
37.
I don't know, man. I'm either 37 or 38. I was born in 86.
I'm 36, so you're 38. Well, depending on your birthday.
Well, I'm about to be 38. My birthday is in 8 days.
Oh, shit. Happy early birthday.
Yeah, dude. So, yeah, like, I grew up, my dad is conservative. My mom was, like, apolitical. I don't know where she landed on anything. So, I bought into the propaganda, this, that, the other thing with the whole, 9/11 thing. And I voted for George Bush. And I was okay with that. Like, I identified at the time with what he was saying.
Yeah.
But then you fast forward 4 years.
Right.
And I was going to vote for Obama. Because I wasn't exactly what you're saying. I wasn't politically active. I hadn't lived enough life yet to understand what all these other policies would do to the world.
And to be fair, we didn't have the internet like that.
Right. And the only thing that threw me off of actually voting for Obama, I was going to do it because I was like, oh, yeah, I'm, again, at that time, what would I be, 21 years old? And I'm like, yeah, I'll vote for the first black president. That's all I was thinking. I was like, that'd be cool to be able to say that I voted for the first black president. But then I saw an interview with him and saying that he was pro-partial birth abortion. And I was like, absolutely not. I don't care what else you say. That is something like that makes me a one-issue voter.
So I was apolitical. Most of my family is apolitical. If anybody brought up politics when I was younger, I had no idea. Like, you'd have a grandparents or something. You might have a couple people in the family that are a little bit political, but it was never like a debate. There was never enough people around for it to become a debate. Or if it was, I had no idea. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always like a grandparent around that reads the paper, that served in the military 45, 60 years ago. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now they're retired and they wear like slacks. Like, you know what I mean? So they don't look military, but they were in the military and they do pay attention. But like, you know, you're too young to really even understand it. I'm just more worried about like, you know, I'm fucking getting my skateboard wheels next week or something. And so I had no idea about any of this stuff. And then growing up, you start getting on like the early stages of social media, or like just on all you get to see is what's on TV and what's on early stage social media. And it's just, this is what's on TV, and you hear it. And all I knew was Barack Obama was running and he seemed like a smart, intelligent guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I knew. And when you're young and dumb, it's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's it. So
yeah, exactly.
And that's all. And I didn't even like really choose, but I just remember going, well, I don't know why people wouldn't vote for this guy because he's black. Like, he fucking seems like a really smart, intelligent guy.
Exactly.
And that's all I thought.
That's how he wrote me in. I was like, I listened to him. I listened to John McCain as I'm watching the news, and I'm like, John McCain seems like a dick.
Yeah.
And this guy's way more well-spoken than he is.
Yeah, so Obama seemed kind of cool.
Yeah. Turns out the whole time he was...
Well, first of all, he ran on a lie.
Yeah.
Changed all his policies. So, like, you know, fuck, sorry, I forgot. Like, the internet really saved me. You know what made me conservative? Joe Rogan.
Really?
Yep.
Rogan made you conservative.
Rogan's show.
Interesting.
Yeah. I listened to Rogan because, first of all, you know, started getting into podcasts and stuff. Rogan had a good podcast. Long form podcast with real conversations. And he had on a bunch of different guests. Sometimes it was silly conversation. Sometimes it was funny. Sometimes it was science. Sometimes it was a public figure that was making waves, right? And when he had on an interesting figure that made a lot of sense, I was like, yeah. They were arguing their point and proving it and backing it up. And when Rogan, who, even if I don't agree with him on all this stuff, like, just logically speaking, he's authentic and he's authentic and reasonable when people converse with him, right? He says when he doesn't agree with something. He admits when he's wrong. Whatever. Like, you can tell. It's just real. So when someone comes on talking about something that sounds really smart and logical, and then Rogan goes, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. I never thought of it that way. Or this, that. But then I go, and so like he have on like, honestly, this is why I'm a Tim Pool fan now. He had on Tim Pool. And I thought it was interesting because Tim Pool is a really good speaker. He has insane recall.
We had Tim Pool on the first time when that whole Twitter thing was going on, right?
It was before, well, you had him on. Yes. And that topic came up. And then he had him back on.
With the Twitter guy.
With the Twitter guy and the lady. And he destroyed them.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that got me onto Tim Pool's podcast. And I started with that, right? And Tim Pool's not even conservative. But Tim Pool talks to conservatives. And he started talking to Jordan Peterson. And Ben Shapiro started going big on YouTube. And I was just like, yeah.
Well, that was back in the air.
Watching Ben Shapiro own the college libs was excellent. It was like when the biggest video for me was that lady who came up talking about transgenders or whatever. And he's like, just because you say, if you're a boy who says he's a girl, doesn't mean you are. She's like, well, I don't get that because if it's whatever. He's like, how old are you? Actually, you know what? He's like, I'll ask you, how old are you? Because you're probably not old enough for it to be offensive. Whatever. She says it. He's like, well, how come you're not 67? She's like, what? Well, that's different. He's like, yeah, it is different, but it's like, it doesn't really matter. He's like, if I call myself a moose, I'm not a moose. Like, what are you talking about? I've never seen that. It's like so obviously logical. It's like, just like things like that. Like it's sometimes people just make things too complicated. It's like, it just is what it is. Keep it simple, stupid.
I saw a reel of that, or not of that, but like I remember exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, because then he ends up saying, he's like, right, they are different, and gender is significantly more important than age. And then that was where he dropped that nuke about the Boy Scouts too. He's like,
oh, that's my favorite one.
To join the boy. And then she goes, where does it say that? And he goes, in the
name Boy Scouts.
And it's like you just see her brain melt. And so that reminds me, I saw a reel like today or something like that. The kid that I work with sent it to me, and it was like this blue-haired transgender or whatever, I don't know, non-binary, whatever she was. And she's sitting there like doing like a live stream or something, I don't know. And she's got her cat, and someone asks her. It was a guy who was clearly trolling her, but she didn't know. And he goes, hey, what gender is your cat? And she goes, she's a girl. And then he types in, but how do you know? And then she goes, well, because, and then she stops and you can see her brain working, and she like very slowly.
She lost control of the narrative.
Yeah, she goes, because her parts, she used to have ovaries. And then like you saw her in her face, her whole ideology just melted down around her. Because it's like, oh, so you can tell what your cat is because it had ovaries. But you, as a woman, you're not a woman anymore because you said you're not.
Yep. You ever see the people who have like vegetarian cats or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
My cat's a vegetarian. Your cat hates you.
Rogan had that hilarious bit about a vegan cat on his special that came out like 5 or 6 years ago. He had a bit about that.
That's funny. So yeah, like Rogan made me conservative because Rogan had on people like Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, they call them what the intellectual dark web.
Yeah. And
yeah.
We have some people like Ben Shapiro, and he's like friends with Ben Shapiro. Like they go out to dinner and stuff. And they're two completely opposite people.
Oh, especially back when he had him on the first couple times. They agreed on almost nothing.
And that's what got me into it. It was like I could see the logic. And now when I listen to Rogan, I get I don't mind it, but I don't seek it out because I'm just like I can see Rogan get into arguments and make statements that I can tell are emotional. He won't leave the center left. He's pretty much center, but he's socially left.
Yeah, I would say as he's progressed over the years, I think he's becoming more fiscally conservative, but he's like a socially he's like left of moderate.
Yeah, I agree.
But he's definitely swinging this way. But I don't think he'll ever get, because he's even said it himself. He thinks it's too ingrained in himself. Like, he was like, I grew up, my parents were hippies, this, that, the other thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't understand why you made your upbringing your entire ideology.
Right. But at the same, at the same outset, like I fully agree with his explanation of your ideas do not define you. Like you think something at one point and then you learn and then you change your mind.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Your ideas are not you. Like,
yeah.
And watching him just like get along with people that seem like complete opposite him, I was like, yeah, and I agreed with the people that he brought on that were speaking logic. So it brought me into like the independent media side of things more, and I became more conservative because I listened to conservative people talk and they make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's just, I don't know. That's just, I honestly think that was what brought me in. That was the, I'm trying to think of the term, like the jump off point for me, like the wake up.
The catalyst, the genesis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. All right. Well, you want to get into the Israel thing here?
Israel?
Yes.
Well, in case you live under a rock, Iran has launched 200 missiles at Israel a couple days ago. I don't know why I'm laughing.
It's absolutely insane.
It's not funny.
Well, actually, so before you play this,
Yep.
Where is it? Do the IDF not the IDF spokesman, the War on Five Fronts, the Daily Mail article. Yeah, there you go.
This is from the dailymail.com. It says, Israel's war on five fronts, how Jewish state faces all-out conflict against its Middle Eastern enemies after killing hundreds in latest Hezbollah strikes as Lebanon accuses it of carrying out an extermination. Did you happen to see the clip of Netanyahu speaking to the Iranian people?
Yeah, dude.
I actually thought that was a good, what do you call that? A briefing? Was that a briefing?
If we're talking about the same one, it's where he basically like drew the line in the sand, like the red line, like we'll do whatever it takes to defend ourselves.
He said, we respect the Iranian people. It's time for you to stop taking this from your government. They hold you down. They spend billions of dollars on rockets, on ordnance to just inflict war on people rather than building you infrastructure and water systems and sewers. He said, we will always defend the Iranian people, but we do not defend your government.
Okay.
He basically called out, and that pissed, I think that was right before the missile strike.
Okay. Yeah, so that was probably part of the same speech that I watched. I might have just caught like the ending of it when he started talking about like how they'll defend themselves. Which we can't talk about this topic, right, without talking about the Biden administration, right? Trump froze that 12, whatever it was, $1 billion that was supposed to be going to Iran that Obama tried pushing through right as he was leaving office. Trump froze it, and then as soon as Biden got in office, he freed that money up. Think of how much of that money went into buying the rockets that they just fired at Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And how much other state-sponsored terrorism it's funded across the world, not just in Israel.
When Trump was in office, Iran was broke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, and it's this whole. Oh, you're gonna play?
I think this is the video.
אזרחי ישראל, אנחנו בעיצומה של מערכה נגד ציר הרשע של איראן. אמרתי אתמול שאל ימים של...
That's not it. It was in English.
I don't speak Hebrew or Yiddish.
It was in English.
I think that one right there that you highlighted.
The regime in Iran does not. Iran made a big mistake, and it will pay for it. The regime in Iran.
The one I was
does
listening
not
to was just in English.
Yeah, that's the one I saw too. I think he was standing. I think at that same podium.
That's what
two flags behind him.
It looked like this.
Well, that's got Hebrew text, so it's probably in English.
אני מבקש לשלוח תנחומים מעומק ליבי.
Nope.
Oh, that's okay. Still in still in Hebrew. Netanyahu speaks to.
Oh, I got it. I have it. I'm going to share it in the
I think I got
chat
it too.
right now.
I speak a lot about the leaders of Iran.
This one.
Yet at this pivotal moment, I want to address you, the people of Iran. I want to do so directly, without filters, without middlemen. Every day, you see a regime that subjugates you make fiery speeches about defending Lebanon, defending Gaza. Yet every day, that regime plunges our region deeper into darkness and deeper into war.
I thought this was a
Every day,
good speech. I
their
like
puppets
this.
are eliminated. Ask Muhammad Def. Ask Nasrallah. There is nowhere in the Middle East Israel cannot reach. There's nowhere we will not go to protect our people and protect our country. With every passing moment, the regime is bringing you.
I'm not super
the
up on
noble
this,
Persian
the
people,
politics of the area,
closer to the abyss.
but I like his
The vast
strength.
majority of Iranians know their regime doesn't care a whit about them. If it did care, if it cared about you, it would stop wasting billions of dollars on futile wars across the Middle East. It would start improving your lives. Imagine if all the vast money the regime wasted on nuclear weapons and foreign wars were invested in your children's education, in improving your health care, in building your nation's infrastructure, water, sewage, all the other things that you need. Imagine that. But you know,
That you
one
can't
simple
refute
thing.
that.
Iran's tyrants
It's irrefutable.
don't care about your future, but you do. When Iran is finally free, and that moment will come a lot sooner than people think,
That's a
everything
threat.
will be different.
Oh, yeah.
Our two ancient peoples, the Jewish people and the Persian people, will finally be at peace. Our two countries, Israel and Iran, will be at peace. When that day comes, the terror network that the regime built in 5 continents will be bankrupt, dismantled. Iran will thrive as never before. Global investment, massive tourism, brilliant technological innovation based on the tremendous talents that exist inside Iran. Doesn't that sound better than endless poverty, repression, and war?
Yeah.
From Qom to Isfahan.
He's
from
basically
Shiraz to
saying
Tabriz,
what we're talking
there are
about
tens
here.
Of millions of good and decent people.
He's
with
literally
thousands
saying,
of years of history
this is a
behind
Trump
them.
endorsement.
Well, I don't know about that, but I get what you're saying.
Read between the lines. This is if you just, what he's talking about to Iran right now is what we're talking about here. Imagine if all the money we're spending on futile wars just stopped and went into infrastructure and peace.
Oh, I see what you're saying now. I see what you're saying.
He's literally making Trump's argument.
Okay, I thought you were talking. Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying.
You
now.
know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And a brilliant future ahead of them. Don't let a small group of fanatic theocrats.
They have a lot of
crush
money.
your hopes
Imagine
and
if they
your
built their
dreams.
own country.
You deserve better.
Yeah.
Your children deserve better. The entire world deserves better. I know you don't support the rapists and murderers of Hamas and Hezbollah, but your leaders do. You deserve more.
Which is a Trump
The
argument.
people of Iran should know.
I know that people of America don't support child trafficking and fentanyl and endless wars on people that we don't even, the people, we have our government advocating for wars. They can't even point to the country on a map.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Israel stands with you. May we together know a future of prosperity and peace.
Okay. Yeah, so I didn't see. That's not the
I
speech
speak
that
a lot
I
about the
saw.
leaders of Iran.
I did share the link of the one that I was talking about, which is a lot more fiery.
It's more fiery.
Yeah, it's straight to the point. Like he straight up threatens them. Like
All
that
right.
one was more of like a call for, you know, peace. But while you're tweeting that thing out, so I don't know if you've seen too. There's a lot of like I wouldn't call them protests. I'd call them more rallies somewhere around the Middle East. I don't know where specifically. They were claiming that it was in Iran. Definitely wasn't in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
There's absolutely no shot it was in Iran. But there was a bunch of people with Israeli flags and a bunch of people with Iranian flags. And
I think I saw that.
They were thanking Israel for attacking Iran, because of course you think back to the Iranian hostage crisis, right? 1979. That's when the mullahs got overthrown, and now they have the whatchamacallits there. I can't remember what they're called now. The Shah. Oh no, the Shahs were overthrown by the mullahs.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
If you go back and you look at, so mullahs are religious leaders.
Sounds like sand speak to me.
Yeah, Shah was basically their version of like a prime minister or a president.
Okay, that sounds right. Yeah, that makes sense.
The mullahs are the religious leaders. They're the ones that have turned everything back into like the zealot thing. Because if you look at pictures from Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, stuff like that, back in the 60s and 70s, all their women were dressed like American women.
Tourism, beaches were open, like stuff like that, right?
So like people are like I said, I wouldn't call it a protest. I'd call it more of a rally. They're like thanking Israel, and they're counting the days until the mullahs are overthrown, and then they can get back to how they used to be.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of support for what Israel's doing. And this is exactly what we've talked about, right? We've talked about this on the podcast before. Like, I don't agree with Israel attack, because like right now, like we kind of skipped over it, right? That article, the war on 5 fronts, right? You got Gaza, you got Syria, you got Libya, you got Iran, and I forget what the 5th one is.
Lebanon?
Like they're in, yeah, Lebanon. Yeah, they're in all-out war with 4 countries and 1 small territory.
Right.
So like, at a certain point, you have to if what they're planning on doing, from what he sounds like he's saying in Iran, is if you're going to go for the head of the snake and you're going to strike hard and you're going to strike fast and then be done with it, that's the way you're supposed to fight a war. You go in, you decimate them, and then you leave.
Right. I'm with you on that.
I'm in support of.
I'm with you on that. It's like be slow to anger, right? Like, yeah. It's a walk softly, carry a big stick, like, and be slow to anger. We have the biggest stick, and we're going to walk softly, and we're going to be slow to anger. But eventually the straw that breaks the camel's back, get it? In the Middle East. Like, eventually the straw that breaks the camel's back, and then all of a sudden, here comes the big stick. And then we're going to hit you once with the big stick, and then you're going to be decimated, and then we're going to be done. And then we're going to go back to living. And that's how I think it should work, for the most part. I do agree, when you do that, though, you should provide warning.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Well, yeah, that's the difficult part, right?
You want to get the citizens out.
Yeah, you want to get the citizens out, so you drop leaflets, whatever, like they did back in World War II.
You got to try. You have to try.
But like, if you do that, then all the leaders will just leave, and then you won't actually get any. So it's this weird thing. It's like, if you're gonna go to war, go to all-out war.
Right, but like, I know what you're saying.
Quick, do it fast. I don't want civilians to die. Like, the Iranian people themselves, the vast majority of them are just subjugated by this terrible regime.
Right.
But for, I don't want to sound harsh, but like, as the saying goes,
stand up.
If you want to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs.
Yeah.
Like, collateral damage is a part of war. If you really want to eradicate Hezbollah and the mullahs from Iran, unfortunately, there are going to be innocent people that are going to die.
Of course.
Because it's the same thing they do in Gaza. They protect themselves.
They
with
hide
meat
in
shields.
schools. They hide in hospitals. They hide in.
Yeah, they protect themselves with meat shields. If you really want to do something about it, as bad as it is, and as horrible as it actually is,
Stand up.
You have to grow a set of stones,
Yeah.
and you just have to bomb the hell out of them.
No, I mean the people that live there need to grow a set of stones.
Yeah, and overthrow the government. Yeah.
Yeah.
They need to do something.
Yeah.
Either that or they're a lot of them are going to end up. Either way, people are going to end up dying because you're going to have the Hezbollah. That's.
Would you rather do it at your own? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a whole. Would you rather live on your? Would you rather live on your knees or die on your feet?
Exactly. I agree. But even so, if you had to go in and then just destroy it or whatever, and you dropped leaflets or whatever, I understand, like, you're not going to take out the people you want to take out, but it depends, I guess. Like, if Israel's intelligence is as good as it's supposed to be, right? Then you know who the people are you're worried about, right? You know their identities and all that stuff. So you go in, you drop leaflets, everybody runs to wherever they can, and then you destroy their territory, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're willing to accept the refugees, then you're fine. Because what you'll do is you'll just destroy the entire place. Everybody will run to the skirts, right? You'll destroy the entire place. And then you start taking in the refugees. And then when one of these guys tries to come in, you go, not you. You're on the list, right? And all those guys who are in power now are in charge of what? A barren wasteland. And now they don't have meat shields anymore because we've taken them in.
Yeah, and what Israel does over the next days and weeks is going to be very telling, right? Because I actually just learned about this the other day. So, do you know the Sean Ryan podcast? He was just on Rogan.
Yeah, I know of it. I've seen a couple clips, clips of certain guests, but I don't follow it.
Okay. So he had an old school Delta Force guy on his podcast not too long ago, and they were talking about, the Osama bin Laden and Afghanistan, Iraq, all that sort of stuff, right? So this guy was Delta Force. He was there on the ground when everything kicked off.
Those the guys with the beards?
They're the guys who make the guys with beards look like men without beards. Yeah. Delta Force is literally the best of the best of the best. Like,
they're allowed to have beards though, right?
Like, you have Navy SEALs, and then you have SEAL Team 6. SEAL Team 6 is made up of the very best SEALs.
Yeah.
Delta Force takes the very best of SEAL Team 6 and brings them into Delta. It's Army. It's everybody.
Yeah, best of the best. But I thought they were allowed to have beards.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was one of those guys.
They're like, you guys are so good, you don't have to shave anymore.
Yeah. And so he was on the podcast and he was talking about what happened in Afghanistan. And he was saying that we were in negotiations with the tribal leaders. I forget exactly who it was, of Afghanistan, basically saying, like, you need to give up bin Laden, A, B, C, D, or we're coming into the country.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say this is, like I said, what's going to happen in the next few days and weeks is going to be very telling about what the Israeli government actually wants to do, because the Bush administration, when it all happened, they gave them whatever it was, like 48 or 72 hours to either make with bin Laden or prepare for war. And the Bush administration attacked on hour 40. They didn't wait for 48. And then later on, the guys were interviewed, and they said, if he gave us to the 48th hour, we were actively in the process of trying to scoop bin Laden up to give to you. They were going to turn bin Laden over to us.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bush administration cared more about the war.
Of course.
And making the military-industrial complex.
Oil, bombs.
Yeah, they wanted the war more than they wanted bin Laden. So they preemptively striked so that it would start the war.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we'll see. We'll see what the Israeli government actually wants. Are they still a part of the massive military-industrial complex? Or are they actually looking for peace here?
Right. Right.
Because we later found out, again, from that Delta Force guy, that they were actively trying to collect bin Laden to give to us.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can make speculation one way or the other whether our government knew that was happening or not. But regardless, we gave them our word. You have until
Well, if fucking some Delta Force guy knows, then somebody else fucking knows.
Right. But the thing is, Delta Force only answer to the President of the United States.
So that means the president knows.
Right, which would be Bush.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't answer to anything but the President of the United States. Delta Force is the only military that doesn't fall under the military. They fall directly under the purview of the president.
That's basically an assassin squad, the president.
That's literally exactly what they are, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is good and bad. I wish I like the idea that we have that. I wish there was one or two more people involved.
Mm-hmm.
Like president has complete oversight, but I wish that that they were required to report to like two other people, and the president had final say, just so that there was a little bit more of a fail-safe for that. Like,
yeah,
president still has control, but everything that the president knows about Delta Force, a few other people know.
And that could be the case.
Like they should direct, like, you know what I mean though? So like that is that is a little bit more of a fail safe, a little bit more of a chance of a whistle blow, a little bit more of a chance of the actual information coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But still, commander in chief is in charge. He doesn't have to confer with the other people, but they're required to receive the same intel.
Yeah. And stuff like that happens. Like there was a TV show called The Unit. I don't know if you ever saw it.
I don't think I've heard of it, but
so it's an old TV show. Well,
so
now,
it
was on like the early 2000s.
Those are the best ones.
And that was based on a book written by a Delta Force operator.
Okay.
After he retired, and one of the stories that he wrote about, which is one of the episodes, was a congressman ended up finding out about something that whatever president it was, they never said which president, ended up sending them on a mission to go assassinate a foreign dignitary.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it. And then a congressman found out about it and was like, that's an act of war. Yeah. And the unit got shut down and they had to go into hiding.
Okay.
Like they were fugitives.
Yeah.
Because they had committed a war crime.
Yeah. Which is when
you only
so
answer
silly.
to the president. Yeah, because when you answer to the president can tell you to go do something. You have to go do it. Now you could make the argument that you only are required to follow lawful orders, right? So like, if my lieutenant or my captain,
I'm sorry, but war. Well, I guess here's the caveat: only Congress can declare war.
Mm-hmm.
But war crime is an oxymoron.
Well, as the saying goes, it ain't a war crime the first time.
War crime is an oxymoron. There's no rules in war.
I would agree. But we did stupid things like signed on to the Geneva Convention, which put rules on war.
Right, but like everybody knows that those are. You ever seen Pirates of the Caribbean? They're more like guidelines than actual rules.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's, I could have ended up in Leavenworth on my deployment. Like we had rules of engagement, and one of them was PID, positive identification. If you saw anybody who was not uniformed, who was carrying an RPG in Afghanistan at that time, you had no questions asked, shoot to kill.
Yeah.
and we were on a patrol, or not a patrol.
What if they asked some guy to carry an RPG from one place to another?
Right, and so I was the gunner on our way back from Gardez, picking up our new trucks, and I looked out into the field as we're driving past like all these workers, and there's a guy standing there with an RPG slung to him, like 50 yards away from us as we came around a corner, and I just got a bad feeling. So I actually, instead of just shooting, I radioed up, and I was like, "Hey, this is a situation. I got this guy right here. Can I shoot?" And they told me not to. So like, had I done that, the officer in charge of the patrol or of the convoy, he could have wrote me up. I could have been in trouble on UCMJ because he made the decision on the ground not to shoot him. But if I would have done it and he didn't want me to do it, then I could have gone to friggin' Leavenworth.
But that doesn't make any sense because the rules of engagement were stated.
Exactly. They make everything so ambiguous now.
So why even have them?
It's like, I think I've told you before, where we were, there was a place called Taliban Hotel. we could see it. It was right there. It was a training site.
You could have hit it with a mortar.
Yeah, we could have hit it with a mortar. We could have went and raided it. We could have went and assaulted it. We could have done whatever we wanted to do. We never did it. Not once. We were there for 12 months. 15-month total deployment. We never touched that place. We just let people come in, get trained up, and then go out to kill Americans.
We got a new chat.
We were not allowed to touch it.
We got a new chat from Tucaniac. Hey guys, I don't have time to stick around because it's almost 1 a.m. You know, I didn't get a single I love you today, even after I said it first, and it hurt. So I thought I'd tell you guys instead, just in case you haven't heard it either. Love you both. Y'all have a great night. I'll probably never see you guys again, so have a great life. Thanks, Tucaniac. It's pretty nice of you. I have heard I love you today. I say I love you to each one of my kids when I put them to bed, and they usually say it back. And I tell my wife I love her multiple times a day, and she says it back.
I'm in a loveless marriage.
How dare you?
What
would Jesus do? Enoch?
Jesus would continue to love his wife.
Exactly.
And that's what I do, even though she doesn't love me.
This got sad.
No, I actually do joke around sometimes though when I'll come home from work, whatever. If I work a late day, like I've been doing, like I'll go in early and I stay late, and I'll come home and my wife, she always hits me, but I don't care. It's worth it. I'll walk in the door and I'll be like, "Hey kid," they'll all come running up and I say hi to them and everything like that. And I'm like, "So, did Uncle Jody come today?" And of course they don't have an Uncle Jody. But my wife knows that that's me saying, like, you know, like the typical thing, like if a wife, the prototypical, like if a wife's cheating, they always say like, "Oh, this is Uncle so-and-so." So that the kids don't think anything of it.
Right.
I always make jokes about, I'll just say any random name. Like, did an Uncle so-and-so come by today?
Jeez. All right, now I feel for your wife.
Yeah. She deserves better.
She's a tough cookie. Well, thanks for that chat, Tucaniac. That was nice of you.
That was. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
I had a thought before I read that. Whatever. Don't matter. Oh, you wanted me to play this clip?
Oh yeah, this is what he went
We will
hard
strike
campaign
you.
on.
There is no place in Iran
packed house
that the long arm of Israel cannot
Look
reach.
at the color coordination
And
in that
that's
building.
true
Holy
of
hideous.
the entire Middle East.
Listen, I'm
Far
not an
from
interior
being lambs
decorator,
led
but
to the
god
slaughter,
damn, that's
Israel's
bad.
soldiers have fought back with incredible
You see that
courage
color?
and with heroic sacrifice. And I have another message for this assembly and for the world outside this hall. We are winning.
I have a message for the long arm of
Mr.
Netanyahu, which is that it's the U.S.
Oh, the one on
Air
the left
Force,
is
it's the
Judge
U.S.
Napolitano. He's
military,
great.
it's the U.S. Navy. It's not you, Netanyahu.
So I did
it's
like
the
this
United
part.
States, and you're dragging us into your wars, so that you can dominate millions.
Okay, I have to, first of all, I might like these guys, but just on that first statement alone, I have to disagree. Israel isn't dragging us into shit. We're dragging ourselves into it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the Israeli lobby is strong. I mean, dude, if you look at, and I mean, this is going to be considered anti-Semitic. I really don't care.
Oh boy,
not a thing.
Here we go.
There's no such thing as anti-Semitism. Anybody who tells you that there is a moron. Like, Semitic is not a race. It's not. It's a made-up word.
I agree.
That they used in order to call people basically racist.
All it is racism, but with a specific color on it. Like,
yeah, and anytime you disagree with the Jewish population, like with Israel,
there's no term for anti-Asian. There's no term for anti anything else.
Yeah, it's a shield. They use it as a shield. If you disagree with them, then they say, "Oh, you're anti-Semitic." It's like, or I'm right and you're wrong.
Right.
Well,
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about Jews. Israel. I tend to side with Israel just because they share our values more so than the rest of the people around them, and they're getting attacked by 5 countries, or 4 countries in a territory. And they do ally with us. They do supply us with intelligence. We do probably overspend for that intelligence, but that's on us. But when you're the richest guy in the area, you tend to overspend. Like, if you have more money than you know what to do with, you tend to overspend.
We don't have more money than we know what to do with.
Well,
that's why we're freaking $50 trillion in debt.
Right, but that's a fault of our own. It's a fault of our idiots in leadership because of our stupid monetary policy. But I'm just saying, even with our shitty monetary policy, we're the richest guy on the block.
Oh yeah, for sure. But what this guy's talking about is, like, he's saying it's the U.S. Navy, it's the U.S. Armed Forces, and he's not wrong, because it is. It's our missiles, it's our bullets. We're giving them to them or selling them to them for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, but they manufacture stuff too.
Yeah, but they don't manufacture enough. They don't manufacture enough to hold a 5-front war. I can tell you that much right now.
No, I'll agree with you on that. But also,
they wouldn't be able to do. What if it wasn't for us.
What I'm saying is, it's our fault that we enable it. It's not them twisting our arm.
I would disagree. I would absolutely disagree. And it goes as far as, again, so what I was going to say, and people will say, oh, it's anti-Semitic, whatever. If you look at our government, anybody who's in like a high-ranking, like bureaucratic position in our country, look it up sometime. Look it up. They're all dual citizen Jews. Like 85+% of the highest ranking people in our government that are, a lot of them in the actual government, a lot of them are not government, they're bureaucrats. They are all dual citizens with the U.S. and Israel.
I feel like that is...
It's a fact.
I feel like that's one of those things where it's like a perk of the job type thing.
No, they're like actually Jewish people. And it's got nothing to do with the fact that they are Jewish. It's got to do with the fact that because they're Jewish, they feel beholden to Israel.
I agree. I know. I get what you're saying.
So these people do things that are way against our best interests as a nation.
Yeah. Well,
because of they're beholden to Israel.
Basically, Israel is our 52nd state or whatever. 51st state.
We get nothing good from them. They don't give us anything other than intelligence. We've been over this before. Like,
Yeah.
They're not our ally. They're factually not our ally. Like, they've never done a single good thing for us besides giving us a little bit of intel. And usually it's something. It's like they're palming the ball over here. They're not telling us all of whatever one story is or whatever the case may be. And whatever, I can't remember when we talked about it before. When they blew up our naval ship.
Oh, yeah,
They sank one of our naval ships and tried to blame it on Iran so we would go to war and fight Iran for them.
I'm not familiar with that one.
You can, I'll look it up right now. But yeah, Israel,
I don't not believe you. I just don't know that one.
Factually speaking, from a military standpoint, Israel is not our ally. They do nothing for us that we can't do for ourselves.
I just feel like a lot of people think Israel has more command over us than we do over them, and I don't agree with that. I think that I'm not saying it's a good deal or anything like that. I think we use Israel to carry out our bidding.
I don't know about that. I mean, I get what you're saying.
It feels like we have a satellite nation.
Oh, it's definitely easier to give Israel arms and then tell them and support them. Like if we want,
and like you said, they shot down one of our ships. It's like we've done that to ourselves before to get us into war.
Exactly. I'm not saying that like
you know
they've
what I
done
mean?
anything that nobody else has ever done. Yeah, you have Gulf of Tonkin, you have Bay of Pigs, you have all these different examples of what the U.S.
So what I'm saying is, some people say that Israel has a chokehold on us, and I say no, we like it.
Well, yeah, the people that are running the government do because it lines their pockets.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. But people often say, "Oh, Israel dominates every." It's like yes and no. Like I understand the argument. I understand why you feel that way, but like we did it to ourselves. We like it. It's like they're our dominatrix. But I think we like it because it gives us that. First of all, oil. America loves to, especially the politicians, they love to talk one way and then act another way. Oh, climate change, oil, it's a problem. We got to ship manufacture, like climate change is a big problem. So let's ship manufacturing to China where they don't give a fuck about the climate at all. Oil is a big problem. We're not going to drill in our country. We're just going to buy it from another. We're just going to get it from another country, and we're going to make them use our dollar. So we're going to cause all kinds of chaos in the Middle East to make sure we can get oil over there, and we're going to ship all of our jobs to China to make sure we can get cheap goods. But they don't get they burn coal or whatever. Like it's the same thing. It's like they say one thing, but then they do something, they just do it somewhere else. It goes against everything that they complain about. I feel like there's the same thing. It's like Israel gives us domination of the Middle East for the most part.
Yeah, they do. We give them arms and we support, for the most part, the same things. They don't want.
I think it's. I'm just saying. I don't think they control us. I think we. And I'm not saying the people. I'm saying we all know the system is busted up. That's the whole reason this populist movement has become what it is. Like one of my favorite anti-communists / counter-revolutionaries always says this. Phil Labonte. He says, Donald Trump is not like the problem. He's a symptom.
Mm-hmm.
The problem exists. That's why we have a Trump. That's why we needed a Trump. That's why we got a Trump. Right? Everything was so fucked up. That's why we have a Trump. Because somebody finally from the outside stood up. That's why, and it's snowballing. Look at Elon Musk. Look at RFK. Look at Tulsi. Look at last week, the Rescue the Republic. Did you see that?
No.
They had a big festival, a big event in Washington D.C. called Rescue the Republic, put on by Brett Weinstein. And it was a big event in Washington D.C. They had musical acts. They had a bunch of political speakers. It was a collective gathering of people like RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Russell Brand, Jordan Peterson.
Oh, okay. I think I saw a couple clips from that then.
That's a symptom of this country taking itself back. The reason I just tend to balk at the people who are like fully on Palestinian side and saying that Israel's like terrible and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't think they're any more terrible than we are. I think we just enable them.
Well, yeah, we do enable them.
But
Because,
like, that's
again,
on
it's-
us. You know what I
it's the
mean?
government, but that's the thing. Yeah, you keep saying that, but it's not. Like, it's on the people that are in government. These
Right.
are the
But
people that
that's,
are-
but that,
people
but
that
I
are
know
elect-
that is on us.
No, it's not.
We
dude.
let it.
I didn't vote for a single one of those people. That is not on me. You can call it on yourself. It's not on me. I didn't vote for those people. I didn't put those.
You
people
voted
in
for
those
Obama.
bureaucratic-
You
No, I
voted for
didn't.
Bush.
Yeah, I did. But I didn't vote for Obama.
But
Like,
I'm saying
I
it's
didn't vote-
collectively. It's a collect. I'm not saying you yourself. I'm saying as a country,
I
we let it
understand that.
happen.
Yeah, I
And
understand that.
now that we have the Trump, the MAGA era, that's a symptom of we let it happen for too long. And now we're starting to claw it back. Do you get
yeah,
you get what I mean?
I know. I understand what you're saying, but I think that's a cop out. Honestly, I do. Like, you're right. It's been going on for too long, but there's nothing that we could do about it.
No, I agree. There's nothing we could
like,
do
I've
about
only
it.
been-
But part of
I've
that
only been
was
able to
like
vote 4
nobody
times.
knew. Like when the only information was like the 5 major networks, like you said, they built the internet and they lost control of it. That's what happened. We needed that. Like we didn't. The average person didn't know, and they couldn't have with controlled media, with commercials every 3 minutes. With short sound bite, like, you know how hard it was to know? You'd have to read like the deepest pits of journalism to know. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, oh, you know, I'm not saying like, excuse me. I'm not saying like, oh, we're like fully responsible. Like I'm not saying we're not responsible or that we are responsible. I'm saying we kind of are responsible, but not at our own fault. Like, we elected these people. We let this happen. Now, I'm not saying we had a good way of fixing it or that we should have known better because we were busy, you know, living and supporting our families. And it was really hard to know in the old system. Then the internet came out and it started to break through the veil and we're starting to know. And that's why this movement is happening. And this movement is happening across the entire West.
Well, but that's exactly my point. Why I say it's not anything that we did. If people don't,
No,
have
not
access-
knowingly. I'm just saying we did do
yeah,
it.
if people don't have access to the knowledge to know what people are doing, then it's not on the people that don't know. It's on the people who do.
Oh, I agree. No, I'm not trying to take a blame away from the bad actors. But I'm just saying, like, so for example, when you talk to like successful business people, successful CEOs, like people who run businesses and stuff like that, they always say, anything that goes wrong, it's my fault. Right? Even though they're numerous steps away from the actual problems that are welling up underneath. it eventually it falls on you. And technically speaking, as the citizens of this country, we are the boss. Right?
That's where people failed, in my opinion. Is that somehow our grandparents and our parents
we let it go.
Let the government be the leader.
Yes. I agree.
That's where we failed.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying like it was easy or that we had all the knowledge and we just did the we did it under malice, or that we just negated our responsibilities, or people just didn't know. But like but it still falls on us, right? Like the CEO of a company starts failing from some place that he didn't understand. From 4 or 5 steps away from him, somebody was embezzling money or doing something terrible to like a bunch of stores or something like that. And it's like, I didn't know that was happening, but you should have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like, even if it was like a thing where like it's not directly, I you understand, it's not directly on us, but like, the buck stops somewhere, right? And if the government is supposed to be for the people, then it does fall on us. And I'm not saying us, you and me. I'm saying collectively, we let it happen, and then it happened. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no, exactly what you're saying. But yeah, that's why I said there at the end there, like, that's exactly what I meant. Like, if we didn't have access to the knowledge to know what was going on,
right,
then it's not our fault. It's on the people who know what's going on and they did it anyway.
Well, I would just say, like, partially,
so
though,
I don't disagree with you. I just disagreed with your initial statement because it was
too broad.
Yeah,
it was too broad. I just meant like, whatever generation it was, it's a gradient, right? Like certain generations probably carry a little bit more of the burden, and then like the next generation carries a little bit less, and then the next generation carries a little bit less, or whatever. But like, even though the system was radio and television or whatever the case, there were still newspapers, and back in the day, people were doing journalism.
Yeah.
And writing in the newspapers. And people weren't reading them.
Right.
People weren't reading them, just like today when we talk about the normies that vote. Those people aren't paying attention to politics. And you know just as well as I do, you'll meet all kinds of people that are reasonable people. They work hard, they make a living, they're contributing to society, yet they have no clue what's going on in politics. And what they do know is kind of what we knew when we were in our early 20s.
Yeah,
just whatever's dusted across the screen.
There's no excuse to not be informed nowadays. But yeah, like, to wrap it up in a nice little bow, I put the reason that I was against that is because I put it akin to a good analogy would be like your house and your kids, right?
Yeah.
If you're buying, if you're buying freaking Wagyu beef and foie gras and you're eating all these different things, your kids are going to eat it because you're buying it.
Turducken.
Well, next month when you can't pay your mortgage and you're kicked out on the street, it's not your kid's fault.
Of course.
That you spent your mortgage money on meat.
I agree.
That was my point.
Yeah, I get it. I guess it's like when you're an adult and you're supposed to be voting, you're supposed to be paying attention.
Right, but like you said, everything was compartmentalized back then. There were 4 or 5 news stations. They were all owned by one company.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing as it is today. But now, like we talked about, the internet got away from them.
Yep. Thank God.
Thank
God.
Now this information is out. So I don't blame our grandparents and our great grandparents and stuff like that for not knowing what they had no ability to understand or learn.
Especially my great grandparents, dude. They lived in a fucking double wide trailer in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but I absolutely 100% I do blame them for letting the government take control.
What happens is, like you said, a lot of those people, they just didn't vote. Right? Like they just checked out.
Yeah, exactly.
And
they failed our entire country because
life got too good.
Enough.
Life got too good.
It's a cycle, right?
Yep.
Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times.
It's
a cycle.
That's right. Yeah. And now we have TRT and the internet. So
right.
Now we have, as much as I hate to say it, now we have Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit podcast. Like,
I mean, they're doing a job.
I'm telling you right now, though, they're making men wake up.
They are. I mean, I don't know how much Fresh and Fit's making them wake up.
They are.
The only thing, I mean, Fresh and Fit might be like letting dudes like save some of their money because they're not marrying whores like they would have before.
But no, like at the same time, they're, as much as I think they go a little bit overboard on that stuff, they're pretty based.
I've only ever seen clips.
They're pretty based. So the main guy, Myron, former federal agent.
The black guy? Or are they both? I don't even know. Are they all black?
They're both kind of black, but Myron is like half black.
The one with the shaved head?
They both had shaved heads, but Myron's a skinny guy.
Here we go.
Skinny guy.
Now I sound like a racist. Now they all look alike to me.
Myron's a skinny guy who looks a little bit more Middle Eastern. The other guy looks like he's from like Barbados or something. He's like black, but Jamaican maybe.
Okay.
So
well,
Fit is the skinny guy. Myron. He has like he was a former federal agent. So he does like video clips and podcasts and other stuff, like just attached to like court cases. He'll do like a show on, stuff like that. He knows a lot about the federal government. I remember listening to their podcast a long time ago and him saying, guys, the federal government doesn't go to court unless they know they're going to win.
Oh yeah.
So he talked about all that stuff. He's really knowledgeable about how the federal government works because he was a federal agent. He's a smart guy. I don't agree with him all like on the whole like dating, all that stuff. But like the core concepts of like men should be men, this and that stuff. He's just too Miami'd out when it comes to like the dating scene.
Yeah, he's absolutely right about that. Your local law enforcement will catch a case and then look for the evidence. Federal, they got nothing but time, baby. They'll spend 10 years building a case against you.
They don't go to
when
court.
They take you to court, they've got you dead to rights.
Yep. Yep. That's what he said. And I where I disagree with them, I disagree with them strongly, but they are filling a void. Like it's like everything else, like business, like everything. There's a vacuum, someone's going to fill it. Andrew Tate, those guys, like the hardcore red pill dating scene dudes, like, I agree with like 65% of what they say. But some of these men out here, some of the vacuum that was going on, it was required.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree. Absolutely.
Like, and even if somebody like listens to them and follows them to a T, it's a net improvement.
Yeah, even Andrew Tate, like today, he still serves a purpose, right? Like, what was it that just happened? Man,
the protests. I know at the Olympics, he went out and protested.
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah, the Olympics. He went out on the street and he was like,
he was calling out the Christians.
Yeah, exactly, and he's right.
Yeah,
he's right. The problem is that like that's a weird double-edged sword about technology, right? Like today, it should be so easy. It should be so easy to get people together and have a revolution. But the problem is, if you do that, everything's on record.
Right. And also,
so it's like,
there's because it's so easy, there's people pulling from so many different directions. So like, yes, it's nice and easy to organize for the left, because the left never argues with itself, really. The first time they've really argued with themselves was Israel-Palestine.
Yeah. I mean, they try to one up each other, but yeah, you're right.
In modern times,
they have a talking point and they stick to it.
They march in lockstep. The only thing that divided them was Israel-Palestine, and even that wasn't strong enough to divide them, really.
Well, it
And
might have screwed them over at the end.
well, it was screwed them over enough for their stranglehold on media and everything that they lost like 2%. So now they might lose.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they wouldn't have gone so hard in the paint against the Jew and Israel, like then Kamala could have picked Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but like, but then you go to the opposite side where we just talked. You said the internet makes it easy to organize, but the right, because we're logical people, we will disagree with each other and still agree on most things. But we'll still find the things we disagree on and call them out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got the red pill guys. All the red pill guys are fairly conservative. Like, probably more conservative than I am. But they're also like anti-religion in some ways. You know what I'm saying?
It's a weird culture shift that we've gotten because you have like atheists who don't have the quote unquote moral compass.
It's not even that they're atheists fully. It's just that what their argument is that this is what's happening right now. This is what you can do.
Right. It's a natural logical conclusion.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, like they don't have, like someone like me has the beliefs that I have because I have a Christian morality.
Right. But even like the fresh and fit guys, they still hold to like a lot of Christian values. They'll even say it. They'll say, I agree with you to a conservative.
Yeah.
But this is what's happening. And we're just trying to tell men so they can defend themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a natural logical conclusion.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a Christian worldview to agree
and
to naturally find a conservative viewpoint.
I think Andrew Tate and like the fresh and fit and like that whole kind of sphere has brought more men into Christianity than we would like to give them credit for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about Andrew Tate just because, like...
Early Andrew Tate was Christian and openly saying so.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be realistic. How Christian were you when you were running webcams?
But
like,
he
was effectively
doesn't matter if he was saying it and he was knowledgeable about it and other people followed and started getting into it.
Yeah. So this is a conversation that I had recently with someone else. Like, I mean, you probably never heard of these guys, but like, I mean, you've heard of Joel Osteen, I'm sure.
Yeah. He's a real Christian.
You've got a bunch of pastors who are like prosperity gospel, all these different types of gospel. It's not the real gospel. It's
megachurch.
Factually.
Megachurch.
It's factually. Like, you can read your Bible and then listen to what they say, and the two don't line up.
Right.
But they still serve their purpose, because if that
it's better than nothing.
If that gets someone's journey to faith in Christ on the road, then they have still served a purpose. Now they're going to have to answer for actually leading people astray,
right?
Because that's what they're doing.
Yep.
And the Bible says they're gonna have a special place. If they don't repent, they're gonna have a special place in hell made just for them.
Yep.
But they're still serving the purpose of bringing people to Christ. Hopefully, those people then
better
read
off,
their own Bible.
Better than nothing.
Well, not if you don't have the right gospel. If you don't have the right gospel, you can believe in Jesus all you want. If you don't believe in the right Jesus, it ain't gonna do nothing for you.
Okay, Bob, you're saying in the natural world, better than not.
Yeah, because it will establish some sort of a moral platform,
right?
A moral foundation.
Which is what I'm saying, and like we talk about all the time with like the libertarian argument when we're talking about voting for Trump or voting for certain, we always make the football analogy.
Yeah.
We're moving the football towards liberty.
Yep.
Right? And sometimes you need to run you got to call a play in which you run the ball for 2 yards. And that sets up the next play. Right? Like a good play caller. And a lot of the libertarians are like the football team with a horrible offensive coach who calls the wrong play every single time, where they go, this guy is not libertarian enough for me.
Yeah.
And then they just vote for Chase Oliver. And you get nothing.
Yeah.
It's so asinine. It doesn't make any sense. And I feel like that, like the same thing with the religion we were just talking about. It's like, the more people that gain percentage of Christian morality, the better. And you can see this on a historical map, like of the world, where Christianity has advanced across the globe. Prosper has just popped up everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Peace and prosper pops up everywhere where Christianity travels. It's not that we don't go to war, but in general, peace and prosperity follows the Christianity map. You can't refute it. It's literally historical record.
It is indeed.
So, like, when you say, like, the Joel Osteen thing, it's like, yeah, that to me, that sounds like the idea of moving the Jesus Christ football.
Yeah, here, play this real quick. I'm just sending it in right now. So this is how I feel, and I agree with, what's his name? We were just talking about him. Kickboxer. Andrew Tate. This is how I feel, and we need to get people to this point, and then this is a type of what this kid's describing is what will take our country back.
It's not the cowardly, wimpish Christianity that you want to make it. My Christianity is the Christianity that defeated Islamic Jihad.
BitChute needs to fucking suck it up. Buy a server.
It's not the cowardly, wimpish Christianity that you want to make it. My Christianity is the Christianity that defeated Islamic Jihad 3 times. My Christianity conquered the Roman Empire. My Christianity defeated the pagan.
Dude, BitChute, figure it out.
Right? I just clicked on this because it was the first link. I should have looked for a YouTube one.
Well, it's fine. It just take a little bit longer to buffer. For some reason, I looked up at the Rumble chat and I saw one of the links you put, and one of the links had Ivan in it, and I thought of this dude. Have you seen the dude on X or on YouTube called Ivan Raiklin or something like that?
No.
It's a bald guy?
I don't think so.
Oh my god, I need to show you a clip of him before we go, because...
Or is he the guy that always has like battle axes or whatever?
No, this guy has like bulletin boards up in like public places. And dude, this guy, he puts, there's one video, he's got a whole bulletin board thing set up in a place. And he's talking about the deep state, and he's got lines connecting everything. It's so funny.
And the northern pagan tribes, my Christianity, that defeated the Ottoman Empire, that defeated the Arab invasion of the 7th century, that defeated the Arab invasion in Andalusia, in Spain.
Andalusia? People.
Oh no, this is where you're wrong, because the Ethiopian Christians who follow my kind of Christianity defeated the Muslim invasion from Somalia and Egypt. My
This guy's
Christianity
based.
is the one followed by the Armenians and the Georgians who defeated the Persian Zoroastrians and the Muslims.
Zoroastrian, Sumerians. We're Sumerians.
You're complaining about it because you are.
That's funny.
Yeah, so like
you're complaining about it. I was hoping he was gonna say you're complaining about it because you are a pussy. That would be funny. I was hoping that would have come up.
Well, unfortunately, we should probably start wrapping this thing up. I just realized it's almost 1:30.
Absolutely.
I have to be up in 3.5 hours for work.
Wow, you got to get a new job. I think.
Hey, I'm Daddy's putting in the OT, man.
Listen, I respect it.
I just found out I got my second kid who needs braces.
Holy tabernacle.
And he needs a mouth surgery.
Wait, he needs braces? Why?
So his two front teeth, he's got an extra set of adult teeth for his two front teeth. So he's not losing them. So they're gonna have to do an oral surgery. They're gonna have to cut it out, pull those teeth out, pull the extra teeth out, and then they're gonna wait and see if the teeth drop down on their own. And then if they don't, they'll have to go back in for a second surgery where they'll basically hook up braces and then hook braces up to those two teeth and pull them down into place. So yeah, dude, I got like a $25,000 bill coming my way.
Okay, well that sucks.
Yeah.
I was just gonna get myself Invisalign back in the Trump era. You can get it on the internet now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you can.
It's like a couple of places called like Smile Direct or whatever. They send you like a package.
Yeah.
With a mold. Do it. Then you send it back. And they make up like the Invisalign thing system for you. Yeah. And then you just do it. And it's like a few grand.
Yeah, I mean that's for an adult, that's ideal. For kids, not so much.
Well, for sure, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Before you spend 25 grand, like maybe like.
Well, the vast majority of that is going to be on the probable 2 surgeries.
Okay.
Yeah, the braces themselves are only going to be like I think like 6 or 7. The rest of it's going to be the surgeries.
I was hoping I could find the clip real quick. He's got this thing set up and like this old lady comes and he's talking to her about it and he like runs through the whole map. But I don't know if I can find it that quick. He's a Flynn guy.
General Flynn?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I see he's wearing a Flynn shirt in this clip. He's not super popular, but I think he should be more popular. Like, nobody ever talks about him. I don't know why. He's always digging through the muck. There's one hilarious one where he's like on the street doing stuff and this guy sits down to talk to him and he just gives him so much business. It's so funny.
Here's what I'll say. And this is a message directly.
Oh, that audio is awful.
All right, folks, there's about to be an epic long-form interview that the other cowards aren't willing to do. And I'm talking about the cowards such as Joe Rogan. This guy right here is not a coward, and you're about to find out what that looks like. I think it's going to get a little spicy because he has balls. He's going to ask me hard questions, and I'm going to have to step it up. And so, like I like to say, iron sharpens iron. What do you want to hear?
You know, what I want to hear is the truth, everything that you know. You know, there's a plan for remedy, there's a plan for retribution.
Yeah.
Once you properly identify an enemy and a subversive international cabal and a threat, that's the only way that you can properly neutralize the threat that imminently faces the future of our country and the future of our children, inevitably. So that's what we're going to be after here today. We're not like bloviating blowhards or talking heads like Sean Hannity, encouraging you to get your next kill shot booster. Instead, what we're doing is we're showing you how to neutralize this threat and to protect your future.
Speaking of booster, in light of fake book Mark Zuckerberg's admission to participating in genocide with our federal government, we're going to go into such detail on that.
Yeah.
Stand by, watch. Oh, wait, where can people watch it?
Oh, we're going to be on YouTube. We're going to be on Rumble. We're going to be on
CommieTube?
Yeah, we're
You're
going to
get shut down, dude.
Hey, whatever it is, I don't even care. As long as it saves one life.
CommieTube,
That's
Rumble.
what it is. We're here to save our country. Rumble, X, Locals, YouTube. Find it everywhere. It'll be everywhere.
I wish there was a fucking fact in that one.
Well, you spit facts.
No, they're base. I just wanted to see one of the ones where he's actually talking about the actual thing.
I mean, they definitely told the truth there. Our government did commit a genocide.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
They knew the shots weren't good for us. They hid the information, and they kept telling people to get more of them.
Just trying to find the good stuff. Got too much media out there. I wonder if it'd be easier on the YouTube. Of course not. Algorithms are fucked. Well, whatever. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time, folks. But he did one with he had like this whole he had like an exhibit set up. And there was a clip where he was talking to an old lady. And he's got this whole like in the movies, like the detective has like the yarn and the pictures and the board. He had like a room full of it. And he's running through and he's connecting. He's connecting all the dots. And it was so good.
Hey, Lauren, my name is Ivan Rakeland. Yep. Great to meet you. Where are you from?
I'm from Maryland.
Okay, I'm just on the other side of the river in Virginia.
Non-libertarian people coming in, speaking, giving their views. So between Trump's speech and Kennedy's speech, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think the one thing that I noticed when I actually attended both speeches for RFK Jr. as well as President Trump last night, I think the one unifying factor is everybody that I've been talking to over the course of this weekend, in all the circles that I'm involved in, everyone wants to go after the proverbial deep state. And that's the administrative state. And luckily, I happen to be the subject matter expert in this nation on who those individuals are by name.
That's too long. Terrible audio.
Skill issue.
Dude, I have a skill issue right now. It's driving me insane.
There we go. That's a lot better. Thanks for
Don't do that to me. Stop.
Stay with me. Positive energy.
You got it. You got it. Ooh, hands behind the back. This looks like it might be good. Crush the commies.
An hour ago.
something with good audio? Does he only talk when there's music playing? What the fuck, dude? What is that?
I don't know.
Psychologically to go to the mat with.
No, I'm not. I don't want to go to the mat. I'm telling you this right now.
But I need you to.
Well, but
the video's not showing up on the stream.
Oh, what the fuck? All right, we gotta go to bed anyway.
Yeah, we do.
We'll fly it another time.
All right, verse of the day.
Let's do it.
Or verse of the week. This one comes from Romans chapter 3.
Romans.
Romans.
They got conquered. They fell apart.
Indeed. So it says, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and are justified by his grace as a gift through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus." So that was pretty self-explanatory, but I'll just say, anybody who's out there listening, anybody who's out there watching, you are not unique. If you have not given your life to Christ, you've never done anything that's so bad that he won't accept you. If you accept him first and believe in him and his resurrection as sacrifice for you and your sin. Plain and simple. Amen.
Amen. Absolutely.
For anybody out there, if you don't know Jesus, if you haven't accepted him, give him a try. Pick
You know
up a
what
Bible,
I say?
read it.
You know what I say? I say fucking figure it out. That's what I say.
Figure it out.
You figure it
You
out
go
there.
Canadian style and figure it out.
Fucking figure it out there, bud.
All right. Well,
That's
gonna
gonna do it, huh?
me.
Yeah. I gotta pee really bad. Time to go to bed. We love you. Long time. Follow me on X at Whiskey6TV, Twitch, YouTube, Rumble, all the media platforms. You can find me at Whiskey Sticks TV. Also, if you're listening to this on audio format, check us out on Rumble, Northeast Based Podcast. We have a YouTube channel as well at Northeast Based Podcast. Check it out. Find us. I'm sure we'll have a Twitch and stuff at some point here. We'll eventually set up an account so we can stream specifically on a channel on all the places we can. But you can follow us individually and follow the podcast channel where it's available. We'll have links and descriptions, obviously, below. We go live every Wednesday around 9:30 Eastern, whenever we can get it together, because we are busy fathers and husbands. So give us a break. Yeah, reach out anytime you guys want. We have all kinds of social medias and stuff. So thanks for listening. Enoch?
Yeah, same thing. X, Twitch, whatever. Jamoke Enoch, JAMOKE, ENOCH, no spaces. Follow me, don't follow me. I don't care. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for listening. Or if you're listening to this on recording, thanks for listening also.
Hell
Catch you guys later.
Absolutely. That's it. Northeast Space Podcast, episode 21. Thanks for listening. Catch you guys later.
Peace.
Keep in touch with yourselves.